All right, welcome to the Natomas Charter School Board of Directors meeting, May 12th. Call us to order at 5:32, roll call. Dr. Gaffney. Absent. Justin.
Here.
Nita. Here. Sean.
Here.
Gina. Here. Arsenio is going to be late, I understand?
Correct.
Okay. Dr. Mayoraldo. Here. Preeti.
Here.
Jennifer Morgan, I am here. John Amir. Here. Hi. Marley.
Here.
Zach.
Here.
Raven.
Here.
And Ksenia. It's not here. Okay. All right, it seems like we have the celebration. Recognitions and celebrations, Seal of Biliteracy.
All right. Hello. I'm Laura Burial, if you don't know me, Teaching and Learning Director. And so we are here tonight to celebrate our students who have earned the Seal of Biliteracy. And so what that means is that the student has shown that they are proficient in English and in another language. That language could be a home language that they speak home and in their culture, or it could be a language that they've studied at Natomas Charter School. So it is a great accomplishment either way. And we've been doing this for the past while, and we have a huge increase because of our amazing counselor, Ms. Zopa Thao. And she has brought our numbers up from 17 to 27 students by doing a lot of outreach. Yeah, give her a round of applause. Outreach and communicating with students and teachers and working to make sure that our students can be celebrated for the knowledge that they have. So I'd like to invite the Academy principals, Mrs. Woods and Mr. Love up, and we will be reading the names on the certificates. And then Dr. Wood, do you want to come up? And Ms. Morgan, we'll do a whole, or you get, yes. And so, yeah, we'll just line up. You guys, all students, you guys are gonna get to do some handshaking. What will happen is the principals will read out your name. You will just come up this way, right around here. You'll come up and you'll get to shake a bunch of hands, like you're meeting the president. And then you'll get your certificate, and then of course you'll always have to wait because parents love pictures, right? And then you'll go back to your seat, and then after we're all done, we will go outside. We'll take a big group picture with beautiful trees behind us and not a screen, and then we will have a little celebration over at the Early College Academy. So, yeah, okay.
Hi. Kimberly Woods, I'm the ECA principal. I just want to start by mentioning before I get started reading the names, I am so proud this year. We actually have 5 different languages represented. So great to see. So we will start by recognizing Ahmad Alakta for his Seal of Biliteracy.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, come in here.
Yeah, they're perfect.
I see cameras up.
All right, right there.
Thank you.
All right, congratulations.
All right, next, earning the Seal of Biliteracy in Spanish is Diego Escoto Munoz.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Great job, Diego. I know your dad is a picture.
That's the camera now.
the seal of biliteracy in Mandarin and Cantonese, and that is Jai Ming Guan.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
My friend is not here, so.
I should see cameras up. I should see cameras up.
Can't get away with it.
Good job.
Next, earning the seal of biliteracy in Russian is Yuri Mokshantsiv. He is not here this evening, but a round of applause. And last but certainly not least, earning the seal of biliteracy in Spanish is Aubrey Zion Tolentino.
All right.
Oh, come on, this way.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, you're the center.
Either way, we got it.
Congratulations to our ECA students, and I will go ahead and pass it over to Mr. Love.
Hello everyone, so Gareth Love, Academy Principal at the FAA. And so we're going to start today with Diana Andrade Sanchez, who's earning the Seal of Biliteracy in Spanish.
Congratulations.
I'm right in there.
Perfect. We're gonna look there.
Next up, we have Alice Bazzano. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Congratulations.
We need a picture.
One this way and one that way for family in Italy.
Are we gonna look that way?
So Alicia is an exchange student here with us, just so we understand that, and yes, family home in Italy. It's been a fantastic year. Next up is Abigail Campos. We'll make sure she gets that a little bit later. Next up, and I know that she's over dancing right now, is Viviana Ferrer de Moraes. You gotta say who you are though.
Yes, no, it's not you. She said she didn't do that. It's her sister.
All right.
Next up for the Seal of Biliteracy in Mandarin is Chloe Fong. And the next up for the Seal of Biliteracy in Mandarin is Kelvin Guo.
Congratulations.
And for the State Seal of Biliteracy in Spanish, Alberto Gutierrez. And next up is Noel Ibarra. So we will make sure that they get. And next up, I know she's not here, is Ruby Lancero. Okay. Next up, Maya Ochoa Rodriguez for the Seal of Biliteracy in Spanish.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Right, next up, we have Natalia Peña Delgado for the Seal Belletry in Spanish. Next up, we have Mariana Quiseno. I don't think it's here for the Seal of Belletry in Spanish. We do have a spring dance celebration happening at PFA right now, so a lot of students are actually dancing in rehearsals. Next up, for Spanish again, we have Catherine Raylova. And again, for Spanish, we have Emily Rishwang. And for Spanish again, Anthony Rincon Arevalo.
Congratulations.
Good job. All right. Good job. Okay. For the Seal Belletry in Mandarin, Ari Riphagen.
Congratulations.
Earning the seal in Spanish, Angela Robles Bustos. And you got here at the right time. For the State Seal of Belletry in Mandarin, Sebastian Jared Talon.
Congratulations. Right this way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
For the Seal of Belletry in Spanish, Joaquin Tang.
Congratulations.
Right here.
And the next award is for Arnold Wu for Mandarin. And the last Mandarin one is Helen Yao. Helen. And we go back because we did. I've got it. So I saw for the State Seal of Belletry in Spanish, Alberto Gutierrez.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. We will head outside so that we can get a group picture and then on to the festivities.
And then while they're headed out, I just want to give a big round of applause and shout out to our world language teachers, without whom this would not be possible. They work tirelessly to prepare our students for this test for years. So thank you very much to our world language teachers for what you do for our students and for our families for being here.
All right. Okay, so families, you can stay here in the meeting or we could.
Thank you. Well, she could, yeah, she didn't inform me.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Maybe second photo. From me in the photo, front center, yeah. Did I get it right?
Did.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't realize we had viewers at home. That's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's what we usually
Thank you. Thank you.
We have three. Female. It's one and one and do it. We got it first. Enjoy it. Yeah.
We'll give just a minute, because we can still love that for the next part.
He's actually smiling as well.
That is a good thing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were. Not work? No, freshman.
And he put you in there.
All right. So we have this, Mr. Love is back, so we can move forward. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're back. Well, we never really left.
The meeting resumes.
We took a break to honor our seal of biliteracy students outside. Thank you. You're welcome, of course. You're a mom, you get to celebrate that. Okay. Next up, our discussion presentation, Night's Watch, student newspaper. Is it Irie?
Yes.
Irie Garrett and Garrett Love. Oh.
I will say just before she gets started, this is mainly Irie, 99% Irie, and it was Irie's idea, it was Irie's passion, and it was Irie's kind of drive that made this newspaper happen. So I want to make sure I'm up here to kind of take any questions that she might not be able to answer. But other than that, you'll just see me standing and smiling.
So while we're waiting for the slide deck to come up, there is a copy of the publication in the board full file. So you might take a couple minutes to kind of leaf through it, get a sense of the work that Irie put together.
All right. Well, hi everyone. I'm Irie Garrett. I'm so excited to be here to talk to you guys about my senior project, the Night Watch student newspaper. I apologize for my unprofessional attire. I did come from dance rehearsal, but I'm so excited to be here. So without further ado, so this presentation is sort of a shortened version of my senior project presentation. So there'll be bits and pieces from that. But to start, I just wanted to explain a little bit about why I initiated this. The primary reason was because I really wanted there to be an outlet for creative writers like myself to be able to express themselves artistically and have that outlet and that way to share their work. And also I thought it would be a really unique and interesting way to spread unity and community in alternative ways and sort of help the student body become more connected through reading about their peers' work and being able to share their ideas. So that's where the idea started. And then I'd love to shout out my mentor, Ms. Sharp, who I don't think was able to make it ultimately, but she was so helpful. I could not have done this without her. I picked her initially because she had journalism experience in high school and college, but her leadership and her adaptability to problem solve was really what helped this project come to fruition, and I'm so grateful for her assistance. So to get started, I had to begin by, of course, forming a team. And then in these WIN sessions I held, I sort of explained principles of journalistic practices, like here a few linked, but we don't have to go through them today. But sort of writing a lead, that's the first chunk of a newspaper article where you hook the reader, and then that one is like the next one that really summarizes it before you really get into it. So those are the kinds of things that I wanted to make sure that people knew about before they started writing. And I also thought, I hadn't been really in the journalism world before this, so I thought it was really interesting learning about as I did my research. And so I thought even if someone didn't want to write an article, this would be a really interesting thing to learn about and to come to a WIN session for. So next was, I had a few concerns expressed to me by Ms. Sharp and a few other people that potentially publishing something in the name of Natomas Charter School without consulting Natomas Charter School wouldn't be ideal. So I had a few meetings with Ms. Sharp, Mr. Love, and legal representative Cassandra Bridge. And that was really reassuring to learn how everything works and what the guidelines were for a publication. And I left those meetings feeling much more confident and comfortable with what I was doing and knowing how to set those limits and regulate what we were publishing. So our first issue had, I think, only 4 writers, so it was labeled a sample issue just to get the word out there and have people become more interested in this project. So it was during winter and it was finals winter themed, and this was really fun to work on, honestly. It was my first taste into how this process would work, and I really enjoyed editing and reviewing people's work and hearing the ideas that we had to say. There was a small hiccup when we reviewed articles, and then after we printed, we caught some things that we were like, maybe we want to change that. So that was definitely a big learning lesson, and I'm grateful it happened because it really shaped the way I went about the rest of the project. And it taught me to value integrity over the convenience of just putting it out anyway. So I was really happy that happened, and it was a learning experience. And we ended up reprinting everything, and I was much more happy with what we ended up putting out than what we had initially. So yes, I estimate we had about 50 end up in the hands of readers. So I think for a first issue, I was really satisfied with that. I really enjoyed the feedback I got from the people who read it. Everyone had incredible things to say about the writers. Everyone who wrote on that was really amazing. The only issues we ran into initially were formatting wise and legibility. So that was actually a relief because that's something that's really easy to fix. And we were able to focus on that a lot for our next issue, which you have in front of you, which is the, oh yeah, I already covered feedback, so sorry.
Did I go too fast?
Oh, no. Just the next slide after this, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. This is the second issue that you have in front of you. It included a lot more writers, and we ended up being able to implement some collaboration across art forms. If you see in the next slide, I'd like to highlight another student, Maya Ochoa Rodriguez, who took photos for this issue. And I'm so grateful for her support. And I think having her take photos for this made this seem a lot more rooted in our community and a lot more collaborative and authentic. So I'm very glad for her assistance, and I know she'll be leaving next year, so I hope we'll be able to find another photographer for future publications. Which brings us to future publications. So issue number 3 will be published this month. We decided to go with a more coherent theme this time. It's themed after an early 2000s high school movie, so everyone who's writing is having that theme in mind, and although we still have a lot of variety of material that we're publishing, it's very coherent and consistent, and I think it's gonna be our most fun one. And I'm really excited. We have also implemented a few different forms of writing into it. There's more poetry and creative writing in this one, and then several people are writing like quizzes and crosswords. And I think this will be like our quintessential publication for this year, and I'm really excited to see it come out. And then for the future of Night Watch, this month I'm going to finalize who will be taking over next year, and I'm excited for that, and I hope that I can just push it into the hands of someone else, and then not that I don't want to do it, but I really hope that this will be able to have longevity, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. And I hope we'll also be able to accumulate more writers and have more frequent publications. So I'm excited to see where it heads, and I'm really happy I was able to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for listening.
Irene to present is that the student newspaper actually falls right within a board policy that you guys adopted earlier this year. So you might remember us revisiting our freedom of expression policy. And a lot of the work within that actually came from Irene and Gareth working with Cassandra Bridge, who's our legal counsel, and really looking at, how do we make sure that our students can have voice, but in, a very legal and structured way that makes sense for a K-12 school campus. And as you can see, Irene came up with just a beautiful embodiment of what that policy was.
Great job, right?
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Irene?
I have a question. Just like, besides, how did you get folks and your peers interested in this? Like, I mean, you went over like some of the things you had to do as intro, but like, what was you clearly had a vision for this, and I applaud you for that. But like, what seemed to be the biggest hook for people to get involved?
I think initially it was definitely a struggle since our first issue only had 4 writers. So I think the biggest problem with that though is that people weren't aware of what it was and sort of how I wanted it to look. So after that, I think after people were able to read it, I definitely got a lot more people coming up to me and talking to me about it, and I was able to, I took advantage of being able to recruit people who I knew would be good writers, and being able to explain it to them face to face, and sharing with them how excited I was to read their work really helped. And I also had the assistance of Sydney Ducharme in managing social media, so we had a social media account that promoted it as well, and then also the weekly bulletin. So advertising and word of mouth was really helpful.
Great. I just want to second what Dr. Wood said. Like, I remember that policy, and I remember, I don't know, but I remember going over questions of student expression, and I wanted to make sure there was pathways to achieve that. So, like Dr. Wood said, thank you for showing us one way.
I'd like to jump in and just say, so something that impressed me from the beginning was, right at the beginning, the first time we met, I asked you questions like, how many editions you expect you to publish? And I think the first time you said 5, 6, and we went, well, hold on. And I was like, a reasonable goal might be 1, might be, you managed to get to 3, but the reason for that is all of the process of leading up to the first edition, the amount of work that you did, the amount of hours that was spent just going, what is a newspaper? How do we construct a newspaper? And then also, what can we do within the parameters of the school? It was just really impressive. And so I do want to make sure that was clear to the board as well, of like, it wasn't just a matter of like, hey, let's get some friends together and write some pieces. There was a bunch of work. And yet you still, to hear that you're going to publish the 3rd one, I'm like, wow. Because I think that's a huge amount, and it's a legacy piece. That's what's exciting about some of these senior projects, so that they are going to be legacies. So yeah. So, Jean,
Yes,
I love that it was printed on paper.
Yeah.
What was the decision to leave from, digital to paper, and how are we gonna fund it going forward? Like, let's say you get really popular, like as the years go on, and every student wants one. Like, if we have to start printing thousands of them, or we have 1,000 kids.
That is a great question. We did receive an $1,000 NAEP grant, so we purchased a printer and then it didn't work out, so we purchased a new printer, and that would hopefully will work out for our third issue. So I think being able to keep it self-run will be good, but obviously eventually that money is going to run out. So I think in the future there'll have to be some sort of fundraising initiative. I don't want this to be a monetary thing. I want this to be free, so not selling the newspapers, but something where we can gain a little bit of funding and be able to provide paper and ink, I think would be good. Yeah.
And I can speak to that a little bit as well. So the one thing we didn't really talk about is this is part of a journalism club. So because it's an official club on campus, it falls under ASB. And because it falls under ASB, we can tap into like fundraising possibilities and all of those accounts. So there is a sustainable piece to this too, that we can do through the fundraising elements.
Thank you, Irene.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Student information update, John Amir for Early College Academy.
All right. Hello, everyone. Some hard acts to follow, but so these are our EC updates for the end of April, or mostly the end of April and May. So April 16th through April 27th was our spring break. April 29th through May 3rd was the Multicultural Spirit Week, Housing Jersey Day, Cultural Flag Day, Cultural Clothing Day, and Tourist Day, and Cultural Swap. The April 29th was the Multicultural Rally, hosting a myriad of performances and games for the students so they can, like a rally, have fun. Well, April 30th, ECA hosted a multicultural potluck. That one was really good. We had a lot more variety this time, which is really good for experiencing different cultures and their foods and everything like that. And so I'm really proud of our leadership's publicity to get people to bring food, and obviously teachers bring food too. May 1st was the open house hosting the Multicultural Festival. The Multicultural Festival was really successful in fundraising and prizes and everything. The most popular game was throw water balloons at students. The student that you probably saw was Diego. He was throwing water balloons at in the beginning, and then pretty much you get to pay to throw water balloons at anyone in leadership if you felt like it. So a bunch of people got one. May 5th through the 9th was Teacher Appreciation Week. We took the time to write teachers' letters and show appreciation, and just know that all of our teachers are appreciated for teaching us and dealing with us throughout the week. And then May 7th was the ARC field trip. I did go on that field trip, and I was able to learn a lot about community colleges and the options after community college if you decided in 2 years. And it was a really eye-opening experience for that. So I really hope that it's pushed a little more next year for the incoming seniors, just as another option. May 11th was Mother's Day yesterday. And so we all, everyone celebrated our mothers and everything like that, hang out with our moms and stuff like that. Hope all the mothers in the room got celebrated. But then May 16th will be our senior showcase. Today, seniors presented their slides in class, and now on Friday, we will be presenting to the whole ECA and whole school of parents and teachers and everything like that, presenting our senior project. May 21st will be the senior banquet. That's where we get our tickets and our cords and our awards and everything, and that's where we'll getting ready to close out the year and graduate already. May 27th will be our senior walk at Star Academy, and spring semester awards. The May 30th is the beginning of finals week, and it will end on June 4th, leading into graduation on the 6th of June. I look forward to graduating. Not that I won't miss seeing everyone's face, but I want to graduate. That's all.
Thank you.
Actually, does this mean that it's our last meeting with the seniors, or do they?
No, we will see them the first meeting in June on June 9th.
June 9th, haha.
That's their last
You have to
meeting.
come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you graduate, so I guess you technically don't have to come back. But someone says you have to come back, so it's not on me, sorry.
It's the rules.
Hello, good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm Marley, and today I thought was gonna be our last, meeting here, as he said, but we do have to come back. So you guys will still see me, don't worry. What we did wrapping up in April, we had the girls and boys soccer playoff finals. Boys lost in the finals, unfortunately, and girls got out in the second round of finals. We have our street fair on May 1st, which was really nice. We had this nice traditional food truck type of thing in art. It was one of my favorite projects. I love my website that we did. We had our last call on Who Wants Yearbooks, so it's still going out, but we have a limited amount left, so get them while you can. We're starting to have open gym for volleyball players that have interest in being high school students going into volleyball or the upcoming 6th and 7th graders. And we have ticket sales for our last final dance of the year from Monday to Friday. BSU graduation is going to be held in the Benvenuti on June 2nd, which is the Monday before we're out. Natomas Charter annual blood drive with Vitalant is on Thursday for May 22nd. Leap fundraiser game night is going to be on May 17th. I'm looking forward to it because I donated flower seeds and I need to see who did it so I can see how they come out. We have our Salsa Sunset, which is our final dance, which is probably going to be one of our most successful dances. We're really pushing for everyone to go. We've taken a lot of time, lots of playlists, and hope everyone dressed up. And we have had our 8th graders, which is coming up, is our STEM CAST testing. So it's our science state testing, and then we're done. And academics, we have trimester 3 slowly wrapping up. Portfolio for 8th graders was last week, Thursday and Friday. I passed. And we have our last tutoring session going on, and all class finals are on the last week of school. Thank you.
All right, Zach for PFA 8.
Hello everyone, here are some updates from PFA. The 28th and the 29th, we had our multicultural rally and assembly. While we had our assembly, the middle schoolers had their rally and vice versa. Students explored different world cultures by engaging in presentations led by BSU, the Mandarin Department, the Ecology Task Force, and other presentations by guest speakers. And then for the rally, we played games played all around the world. May 1st was our open house. Prospective and current students explored all the programs and opportunities PFA offered. I know my mom visited all my classrooms and enjoyed that. May 1st and May 2nd is the Iridescence instrumental performance. Band levels 1, 2, and 3 performed Thursday, while strings levels 1, 2, and 3 performed Friday. May 2nd was Awesome Lunch hosted by ASB, and this celebrated Multicultural Month. May 7th was Spanish Cinco de Mayo performance. Our amazing Spanish department celebrated Cinco de Mayo by showcasing cultural dances and songs. All Spanish songs was performed during this performance. May 9th was Stargazing Night, followed by Trivia Night. May 14th to May 16th is our spring dance celebration. We are currently in rehearsals for that. After this meeting, I'm going back. May 21st and the 22nd is our spring vocal concert. The 22nd is also the middle school retroactive art show. The 26th, we have school off, Memorial Day. And then 28th, juniors make breakfast, perform and entertain the seniors as a way to thank them and celebrate them for their incredible hard work and mentorship during senior breakfast. Also the 28th, after they eat their breakfast, the seniors will go to Star Academy in their graduation outfits and meet with their STAR students. The 8th graders also have an end of the year field trip. I believe they're going to Six Flags. The 30th to June 4th is finals week. June 4th is also Day on the Green. The theme is Chartercella. We are currently we're currently holding auditions. I'm excited for that. June 5th is 8th grade graduation. 8th graders will walk the stage and get honored for all their hard work they completed throughout middle school. And then June 6th is high school graduation, where seniors walk the stage and get honored for all the hard work they completed for their senior projects. Thank you.
Who's next? Let's see, Raven for PACT.
Hello, my name is Raven Young, and I'm a student representative for PACT Academy. April 15th was Parent Coffee Talk, where parents got together to talk about healthy habits. May 2nd was our fitness field day and mile run at the North Natomas Regional Park. Students ran a mile and afterwards got popsicles to cool off. They also played fun lawn games like volleyball, soccer, and spent time at the park's playset. May 9th, PACT students went to the Wild Science Museum for a field trip. One of the coolest parts was the Magical Magnets workshop. Now let's get into the upcoming events. May 13th is going to be Parent Coffee Talk, and this time the topic is extending learning. Later that same day, we'll be attending the spring dance performance at PFA. I'm sure it's going to be a great show. May 14th, PACT's hosting a middle school social with a tropical party theme. It's being planned by our awesome student leadership. May 16th, PACT is attending a field trip to the Crocker Art Museum. May 22nd is a big day with 2 exciting events. First, the intermediate drama class is performing Macbeth in the school's multi-purpose room. It's going to be exciting and maybe a little bit spooky. That same evening, we're hosting our open house from 6 to 7:30 p.m., where everyone can see the amazing work students have done this year. May 27th is PACT's annual recital with dancing and music performances that students have been practicing all year long. May 28th, 8th graders will deliver their Keystone presentations. From May 28th through June 4th, we'll also have our curriculum fair where parents can help choose what we'll be learning next year. There's also a field trip planned to Angel Island during May 29th, followed by a PBIS movie event day, May 30th, to help us unwind. For our amazing 8th graders, there's a special pancakes breakfast coming up on June 2nd. I'm really excited for that next year. And their promotion ceremony is scheduled for June 3rd at the Benvenutis Theater. June 5th will be a fun and educational visit to Rayleigh's. And finally, June 6th is the last day of school. I'm so excited. Thank you all for listening.
Yes.
Carolyn's gonna tell
I am not a Star Academy student.
But you are at heart.
I'm associate principal, but we did work on this afternoon, and I'm not sure why she's not here today, but we miss her. So I'll be speaking first person on behalf of Ksenia. So hello, Natomas Charter Board members. First up, we had the NCS Multicultural Festival, and it turned out awesome. A lot of people came to the festival, enjoyed the performances. We had a lot of people visit the Ukrainian booth, and they all got face paint. We really hope you can come to the festival next year. Also, we have the talent show rehearsals this week and the Star Academy talent shows this Thursday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. I have done the talent show for 2 years in a row. There will be dances, singing acts, and instrumental performances. Next, we had our PBIS assembly for April on May 2nd. We sang "We Will Rock You" to hype everyone up for state testing and iReady testing. Another important event was state testing last week. Students got mints, Jolly Ranchers, and snacks to help give them energy. 5th graders got to do the science test for the first time. We also had an after testing party for the 5th, 4th, and 3rd graders, and we all got pillow sticks and danced to music. Then we had Staff Appreciation Week. The students brought candy, flowers, and special treats for the teachers. There was even a coffee cart for teachers on Monday, and the teachers also got hand and neck massages to help them relax. That was very popular. Finally, the 5th graders had the fitness test with Coach Semple. We had to run a mile, do push-ups and crunches. One class got to pour cold water on their faces and got ice cubes. On May 22nd, we have an open house at Star Academy. Right now, we are working on a rainforest theme project in art. In Spanish, we are practicing a Mark Anthony song to perform for parents. parents. Thank you for listening to the Star Academy update.
Okay, next up, hearing of the public for items on the closed session agenda.
Nothing received with me, and let me check online. No one online. I'd also like to state for the record that Arsenio Mataka joined the meeting earlier before the student presentations.
All right, at this point, I will adjourn us to closed session to consider and or take action upon any of the following: public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code 54954.2, Administrative Representative is Dr. Joe Wood, Executive Director Employment Agreement 2025-2028. Adjourning to closed session at 6:17. Okay, reconvene open session at 7:12. Let's see, announce possible action regarding Executive Director Employment Agreement 2025 through 2028. In recognition of his steadfast and effective leadership of our school, the board is happy to announce that Dr. Joe Wood will continue serving as the superintendent/executive director with a new contract effective July 1st, 2025. Government Code, Section 54953, requires that the board receive a verbal summary of the employment agreement prior to taking action. So I'll be providing this information pursuant to that requirement. The board of directors received and reviewed a compensation study reflecting the salaries of school district and charter school superintendents/executive directors across the greater Sacramento region at the January 13th board meeting. This update contract reflects the information provided in the compensation study. The term of the employment agreement is July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. The work year is 220 days, and the agreement does not include paid vacation. The annual base salary is $219,000 with 3% steps each year. As a certificated administrator, Dr. Wood will participate in the CalSTRS retirement system as well as the school's 403B match program, and will receive a contribution to a 457 retirement plan equal to the maximum allowable annual contribution per IRS rules. Any other benefits are the same as those received by all other employees within the organization. May I please have a motion to approve the 2025-28 superintendent/executive director employment agreement? I'll second. Thank you, Maria. Thank you. All right, roll call vote, Arsenio.
Yes.
Okay, Sean.
Yes.
Gina. Yes. Nita.
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm a yes. Dr. Mirado.
Yes.
Preeti.
Yes.
Justin.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Should we have him sign it now?
Yeah.
Before
you retract anything.
Or do you have to have it all down?
All right. Agenda, any comments, questions, tonight's agenda? Okay, may I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Thank you, Justin. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Oh.
I can give it to you.
You gonna give it to Gina?
Yeah.
Yeah, she just already
She did, but a second.
a second.
I'm
Yeah,
really
work on it. Thank you, Dr. Wood. Roll call vote, Justin. Preeti. Dr. Miralles.
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm a yes. Nita.
Yes.
Gina. Yes. Sean.
Yes.
Arsenio.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cruising along, our next topic, consent items for tonight. Questions? Okay, may I have a motion to approve tonight's consent items? Thank you, Arsenio. May I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Preeti. Roll call vote. Arsenio?
Aye.
Sean?
Aye.
Gina?
Yes.
Nita?
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm a yes. Maria?
Yes.
Thinking about it?
Well, I realize that retirement and fixed assets, I did have a question about that. But, okay. Did you get your question answered? Did I? Did you? Okay. I saw one email, but it just said someone's gonna look at it, so.
I can I know,
Yeah,
let me provide a little bit of a
Okay.
clarifying thing. So the question that Maria had reached out was about what happens with our retirement and fixed assets process, like if we still have the assets. So a couple things just for the board to realize, if something made it onto our retirement and fixed assets, that's an IT item. The item is like kaput, like barely functions, probably missing keys, has a bloated battery, something. I mean, we use the device until it like no longer functions, yeah. Also with Chromebooks, we run into the issue that after a certain amount of time, Google will no longer support them with software updates. So that's the other challenge that we run into. And in the case of these fixed assets that were retired, we actually got rid of them through the LEAP e-waste fundraiser, so it actually generated proceeds for the LEAP program, which is our parent group for Leading Edge, sorry.
Okay, and you voted yes?
Yes.
Okay. Three T,
Yes.
okay. Wow, we're already on action items. Anita, employee handbook.
Okay, so this year we had our Young Mini and Core review our handbook again. The prior year we had a lot of in-depth changes for new laws. This year there were some minor changes, updates and to wording as definitions have changed in the areas that we have listed above. And the one that I just wanted to bring to your attention also is we added the Title IX notice of non-discrimination that just refers to our board policies that we already have in place on the website.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the employee handbook? Wait, questions? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm distracted because I just signed this contract.
Oh.
We may need another version.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay, yes. I hope I'm on the right, I'm on page 61. I'm in the right place here.
Okay.
Under attendance and absences.
Okay.
It's 24 in the handbook, but 61 of, page 61 out of the 355. Okay, so as I read this, it says, oh gosh, let's see what I have here. First, second, the bottom, the last sentence of the second full paragraph, it says, if an employee is absent 3 consecutive work days without notification or without authorization, the school will assume the employee has voluntarily resigned for the position by the end of the third day. That's it. But then, and then of course, if you can give advance notice, that's great. But then the next sentence, see, this is what confused me. It says excess absences and failures to report absences on time may lead to discipline up to and including termination. So, and absences are excessive if they occur frequently or if they show a pattern when an employee utilizes, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess when I read that, now that I'm rereading it, it's probably a little clearer to me that if an employee doesn't show up for work, no communication, 3 days in a row, their message being conveyed, given this handbook, is they resigned. Right, okay, right, okay, now, so I just wondered about the wording here for excessive absences and failures to report. I felt like it kind of opened it up again, but maybe it didn't because I guess the key is the consecutive.
Yes.
That's the key there.
The first one is like, let's say some random Monday, no one comes to work and we call them. What we will typically do is the supervisor in HR will reach out on Monday,
Right.
reach out on Tuesday,
Right.
reach out on Wednesday.
Right.
We'll probably also reach out Thursday and Friday.
Right, of course, yeah.
But if they've just sort of gone MIA, then it would be considered job abandonment, which would lead to termination.
Right.
Versus the other one is, let's say we had an employee that, they missed every Friday and that must also be a day that the ski resorts are open or something like that, right? Then it's kind of a different conversation.
Okay, so that's what, good, so thank you for clarifying that. And then on the following page, page 62 of the 355, which is 25 of the handbook, outside employment, moonlight.
Yes.
Maybe organizations have this, but I guess as a college professor, a lot of people had other jobs besides teaching. So when I read that, I thought, wow. So NCS discourages full-time employees from accepting any form of outside employment. I found that a little strong, given, I don't know people's different financial situations, where they might want to do a little tutoring on the side, or they might want to, on Saturdays, open up a flea market, something, whatever. I just found that, it struck me kind of.
So I want to share why this is here.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, it's not requires, it's discourages, right? So it's permissive language very intentionally. And really what this is about individuals that are moonlighting in other positions to the degree that it affects their ability to do their job. If you think of like a classroom teacher, right? Like if we have classroom teachers that do professional development on the weekends.
Yeah, right.
We have other classroom teachers that have, maybe have picked up a job bartending or doing different things like that, right? And and sometimes employees will reach out about this, and I'm always really clear with them. You are free to do whatever you want to do outside of your work hours, as long as it doesn't disrupt your work hours. You know, we need you to make sure that you come to school prepared, that, you know, if someone is, let's say they're attending bar, they're not working till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and then trying to come and work with students at, you know, 7:30, 8 a.m., right? That's kind of the intention with this moonlighting language.
So what would happen if they did?
So if they did and it impacted their job performance, then we would go through our, you know, employee coaching and discipline process, which, you know, typically starts off with just a, you know, informal notification, like, hi Maria, I just wanted to let you know, like, we see you coming to work really sleepy, like, kind of what's going on? Is there something we can do to support you? And then, you know, if the employee, if it continues to be a problem, then it could be a disciplinary action.
So I'm just wondering, and again, you may not be interested in this, but I'm just wondering if a statement of that nature could be put in.
Okay.
That if it, you know, deemed or whatever.
I think that intention is the second sentence, where it says a full-time position at the school requires commitment to high standards and quality delivery of services. You know, to this end, all employees need to seriously consider the impact of work for another employer that may have on their job performance at NCS.
Yeah, and job performance, regardless of your moonlighting or not, the bar's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
to me, I don't think there's anything, I'm curious, well, no. I'm actually a little bit surprised to even see that we discourage it.
You want to forbid it or?
Oh, I don't want to forbid it because we don't have that right.
Yeah.
And in addition, knowing the economic climate now and knowing how hard it is for teachers and staff to make ends meet,
Yeah.
I get it.
Right.
The only thing I can see would be necessary is the requirement to report the conflict of interest. But I wonder about the discouraging piece because
I think that's a strong word in that sense, that it completely, basically it's saying you cannot at all, which is not what.
I mean, we could reword that first sentence to say something like, NCS encourages full-time employees to consider, you know, the impacts on their work of any particular moonlighting, you know, kind of like reframe it a little bit. I will say, prior to my working at Natomas Charter School, this was actually a problem. All the concerns that you brought up, I actually brought up to Ting and Charlie, like around my first year or two, because I was doing outside professional development for other school districts and was like, what does this mean? And they had shared that they had some employees that just were working really late night jobs, and so coming to try to teach, you know, exhausted and unprepared. So I mean, I think I would be comfortable though with like I said, reworking that first sentence a little bit. We don't have to do it right here.
Or maybe even
Because-
like balancing the time or something like that in that respect.
Well, and even so, I mean, back to my original point, if you're coming to work exhausted and unprepared, whether you're moonlighting or not, that's a performance issue.
That's true.
Yeah, and if there's some way, like you said, Joe, that we support them, then we do that, but
One. Capture his word.
I'm sorry.
I know, remember that TV show?
Yeah.
Yes,
Good
it's taking
one.
us.
Who's who?
Good question now.
Make it short.
Alright, I know. If we require disclosure, do you have any sense of how many of our employees have actually disclosed? Or, I'm trying to get a sense of like the gravity of here, like how many, are we talking about like a handful of people who are seeking outside, you know, additional employment, or is it like a?
It depends how you define it. I mean, I can probably think of half a dozen people that might be doing like a little outside, I'm gonna call it like outside consulting work, like randomly teach some professional development something. And we have we probably have 5 to 6 people maybe doing that. And then we probably have a similar number that have a more consistent outside employment, like I work at a restaurant waiting tables, or I work at a salon or something like that, that has a more like, if you will, like consistent schedule to it, regular schedule to it. So we do definitely have some people doing this. How about if we reword the first sentence to say, NCS encourages all employees to consider the impact of outside work on their job performance before accepting additional employment. Does that feel
Much
better? Okay.
Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, replacing the first sentence.
Yeah, right. Good.
I'm looking, I'm fine, I didn't raise it.
All right, any other questions about the handbook?
Any other questions?
No,
Not on the employee handbook? Okay.
Anything else?
Well, page 222, but that's
Did you
later.
read?
No, that's later, that's a
That's later,
that's a
that's
student
later.
handbook, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a student.
That's a student handbook.
Okay.
Yeah, all right, I just printed out the pages.
Okay.
All right, so.
If we're ready for a
I'll
motion.
move.
Okay, thank you,
Move
Arsenio.
with,
Joe's correction?
with the first sentence correction, which correction?
I second.
All right, and I have lost my place. Sean with the second, roll call vote, Justin?
Yes.
Preeti?
Yes.
Dr. Mayorano?
Yes.
Jennifer, I'm a yes. Nita?
Yes.
Gina? Yes. Sean?
Yes.
Arsenio?
Yes.
Okay. Bear with me 1 second for the next topic. I think it's going a little crazy here. Oh, 355. All right, next up, student and family handbooks.
So we wanted to make sure that we were like keeping you guys sharp on your literacy skills. Lots of things to read. So within your packet, you'll see some light reading of each of our 5 academy handbooks.
It was very
I will share that Laura, Amy, and I all went through them through the lens of like teaching and learning, special education, and student services. There really were not any big edits made this year. There were some, updating letters of welcome from the principals. Some PBIS language was updated in terms of they wanted to kind of change their behavior expectations. There wasn't really anything significant updated in these handbooks. So I'm happy to take any questions that you might have on any of the specific handbooks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, page 222 of the 355. Yeah, so.
Yeah, give me a minute, because I'm only on
Yeah,
page
yeah.
116 over here.
Yeah.
What did you say, 228?
222.
Okay.
222 and 223.
Okay, please, go ahead.
I wanted to ask about.
Which section is it in?
Let's see, the AP testing policy.
I would like to invite my friend, Ms. Burial, join me.
What a friend.
Tap Laura in for this one.
222 students. 222.
This is around AP testing.
AP testing.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right, so under AP testing policy, it says that Natomas Charter School administers AP exams for AP courses taught at Natomas Charter School. And then it says if a student wishes to take an AP test from a course not offered at Natomas Charter School, the student may reach out to a local high school that already offers it, and College Board has that information. I'm sure you have that information.
Yeah.
So I think what I'd like to see is more specificity with AP. And that
Tell me
is,
more.
how many AP classes do we offer? At, let's say PFA, is this a PFA? I think this is a PFA. Yeah, how many AP classes do we offer?
Well, it depends year to year. Consistently calculus is an AP that we do, and then there are other ones.
And we used to do.
Or maybe it was just calculus A, B, and BC.
And then for a couple of years, we were doing the 12th grade English one, but then we replaced it
Yeah,
with.
pretty-
Oh, yeah.
Right,
So-
so what I'd like to see is that specified here. Say the 2 AP courses we.
Oh, for the given academic.
So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
reason we don't specify the actual courses
Yeah.
is because like we like, it depends on how many kids are interested, and so we
Yeah,
don't
they may
want it
not
to be
be. I
that
get
we
that. I
say
get that.
there's a BC, but then there's
I get
only
that. I
one
get that.
child
I get that.
that's ready for BC, and we can't
Yeah,
have a
I
whole
understand.
0.2 of a
Sure.
teacher for one child.
Right.
So then it's, that way we can update our
Right.
catalog based on the
Right,
needs.
right. Well, I guess what I'm trying to see if we could be more transparent is that the number of AP courses here are limited.
Oh.
And I think, and I saw some of the parents here today that came for the, our award for bilingual the seal of biliteracy. And, because we had these discussions early on in our, but you read this, and okay, well, no, the Thomas Charter offers AP, I was confident, it's very limited.
Yeah.
And so I think if we could find language to use, to say, you know, we regularly offer this, that, you know, the language to let people know that, you know, it's limited. But to specify, because I think parents need to know that it is limited. And so if, you know, and also in terms of the, and I guess the reason I'm saying to be more specific, because that next sentence, if a student wishes to take an AP course not offered, that, you know, it's like right there, it tells you, okay, so that means that it's limited, but I would like to see it specified.
What if we change the, right underneath AP testing policy to say, Natomas Charter School provides a limited number of AP classes each year. The school administers AP examinations for the AP classes taught at Natomas Charter School? Like, just.
Yeah, but I'd like to actually say in math and English or something like that, or, you know.
Why?
Because.
So what's the end goal?
The end goal is to be upfront with folks about the
We
limit is
don't
we
offer
have.
a lot?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so is that more of like a communication plan or procedures as opposed to a policy?
Well, I'd like to see.
Because I think that's a separate.
And that's something that's listed in our course catalog, is
Yeah.
what courses are available each year, and we come out with that catalog in January before. So I think that information is there, but just not necessarily in the handbook.
Yeah, I think it should be in the handbook. I'd like to see it in the handbook.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Justin?
So on this topic, like, I mean, as a parent, I think my natural inclination would be to first talk to the teacher of that course and then maybe the counselor as well before trying to find out where the test is taken at another high school. Like, and I know that, you know, they would support that. So like, do we want to acknowledge that assistance in some way in the handbook? Instead of just like making it seem like it's all on the parent and the student to just contact another high school. And I do think there actually is support here for students who do want to take the courses.
So the counselors will often, if a student said, because the students talk to the counselors about what classes they're taking. And so like we had a student who took it was like an online AP course from Michigan or something like that. And then, and that school in Michigan said, oh yeah, no problem, right? You can take this test in California. But then it was this, I don't know, class that nobody gives. And so, you know, we had to like really search for how can this child take this test? And so then we ended up having to give the student that test. But what that means is then you have to like get someone certified to give the test.
Right.
And then you have to plan the test and you have to have an employee and, you know, not in that subject area, ready to give the test for 4 hours, you know, so it just snowballs. And so that's why we put this section in there. And so.
Would it make sense, going back to Justin's suggestion, that after the URL where it says, you know, AP course audit / ledger, whatever, we add a statement that says students are encouraged to contact their counselor and or academy principal for additional information?
Yeah, because I know that is available, and so I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I would say students and parents should feel comfortable contacting, you know.
Yeah.
Question. Getting back to the transparency of the AP courses, so when I go online and I look at the catalog, there's a whole list. It leaves me, so this is my question, is like, are all the courses that are listed on here available? Because this leaves me with the impression that there's like 13 or 14 AP courses available. And
Are you on the PFA course catalog?
You're on the Natomas High School.
Yeah.
You're on the wrong one.
Oh, darn it. Okay, I thought I was being.
Woo!
Okay,
I was
all right.
like, course catalog.
Okay, no, but what I'm getting at, what I'm trying to get at is what Jan's getting at is that like, is there another place? I get what you're saying, well, like there, but is there a more natural place where I as a parent could go and say like, oh, okay, they offer these AP courses? Maybe not in the handbook, but where would that be?
I mean, the course catalog, but I don't think people necessarily know to go look there, so that's why I think it's important to put in here students and parents are encouraged to contact their academy principal or counselor for more information, because then we can help you get to the course catalog.
I think, and this isn't obviously the only place we put it, because as much as I love our school community, not everybody's gonna read this cover to cover. So if there's other outreach and opportunities to share that information, we should do that, right?
Well, and I think the counselors do when they have like the parent information nights and the college nights, and when they, you know, send home the courses that, you know, the students are going to take with the, so, I don't know.
Along those lines, so you were just talking about somewhere else having 13 AP courses. We don't have, we have 2?
Yep. No, the other one was statistics. I forgot that.
I shouldn't forget that one.
Sometimes we have statistics.
But not on site, or is it?
Yes, on site. It just depends on the group of students.
Sometimes we don't have enough kids to offer it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So then how do we go, what if there's, how do kids petition for, or how does anyone petition for additional AP courses? Like if there's 12 of us that, what,
I was just gonna ask that too.
Well, good,
So-
I'm glad I asked it first.
We should probably, if we want to have a longer AP conversation, we should probably agendize it as such.
Yeah.
But I will say, offering a bunch of AP classes is not necessarily in the best interest of all of the students. So
I'm not,
I know you're not advocating
yeah.
that, but I mean, like, that's what I'm saying, like, it has to be kind of part of a longer conversation.
Yeah.
Because the balance that we're always trying to strike to ensure that our kids can get into the most competitive colleges possible is that they're able to access rigorous courses, but also not able to access the rigorous courses at a level that becomes a detriment to the other students in the campus. And so it's always kind of a balance that we're striking. We're also a small program too, right? And so one of the big challenges with AP is that AP does not lend itself well to interdisciplinary teaching. So if the English department and the arts department want to work together on a cross-disciplinary unit, and one of them is teaching in the AP content and the other is not, it doesn't lend itself to doing that. So from a historical standpoint, we've always been about, especially at PFA, been about interdisciplinary arts and academics working together, right? In an academically rigorous, focused on making sure the kids are meeting UC A through G standards. And then we brought in AP courses where we can. And it's typically where classes are standalone. Typically, we don't have statistics and drama integrating with each other, right? So it's kind of why it makes sense that especially like the math and the sciences, like that might be where we have some AP. The other way that we've tried to strike balance is by putting information in this handbook of letting kids know that if you took chemistry, you can go take the AP test. You're not like limited to taking the AP test only because you took AP chemistry, right? And so that and as Laura was saying, the counselors will work with them on trying to identify where might be some testing sites and locations within the community where you can go and do that, so that they can take the AP test if they want to. And I think the bigger thing that we've been trying to do the last couple of years is instead of AP, offering dual enrollment. Because like dual enrollment is real college credit, whereas AP is like, if you do well in the class and you pass the test, hopefully the college will recognize it as a college class. But more and more the colleges are not recognizing them as college classes. Whereas dual enrollment is really what you want. So like, if your choice is AP statistics or dual enrollment statistics, you should take dual enrollment statistics.
And that's where we're pushing the students is to do that dual enrollment for those extra layers, which the colleges then have to take the credits versus choosing, and oftentimes you don't get enough credits through the AP test to actually waive any course of relevance when you're going to college. So, that it goes along with what our whole charter is about. It's about that whole child and not just pushing, the AP, type of thing. We want to make sure that they're having a balanced
And I'm not
experience.
proposing more AP. I'm proposing two things. One is let's be, like you had some language there that we're working on to let folks know we're limited in AP. Okay, let's be upfront. And two, to your point, Jen, is we need to let kids know, and parents, that if they want to get into UC and some of these Ivy League schools, they gotta take that dual enrollment. Because that's the only way it's so much more competitive now.
I'm
A
gonna say
4.0.
they don't have to.
Well, let me tell you, from what I've
Depends a
seen.
little bit on the major.
Right, it
Yeah,
depends on the
It
major.
depends, well, especially STEM, I'm speaking for STEM, yeah, I mean, it's so competitive. 4.0, that's nothing. You gotta be 4.5 and up, and all this, so, yes, dual enrollment is the way to increase your chances,
So-
you know.
What I'd like to propose, it's been a couple years since we've had our counseling team come and present to the board on the college enrollment process and what makes you competitive and how that's reflective in our programming. And so I think that's something that we could work with the counseling team to bring back early at the start of next school year. Because I think that would be a good conversation to relook at our high school programming, making sure that we still feel it's competitive and it's helping kids get where they need to go. Also with the trade-offs of being a small program.
Right,
and
absolutely.
Our goal is not to be just like another high school
Right,
here,
right,
right? We have options in our community, which is nice. But yeah, we can do that.
That would be helpful. And then, do we collect any data, let's say of the seniors now, as far as, where they're going, where they applied, where they're going, where they got accepted, where they didn't?
Yeah.
And, yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because
they're
I-
all completing a senior survey right now.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
if they're not doing it this week, it's like next week, yeah.
And is there any room in that survey? I'm sorry, I'm right in the middle of this since my kid just went through it, so it's right here in my face. Is there any place in that survey, maybe not this year, but next year maybe, where asking the students, what would you do differently?
That's actually in the survey.
Okay, good, that's what I'd like to see, is also what.
Yeah, if there's questions like what do you appreciate the most?
Right.
How could
How'd
we
you feel
change it
prepared?
better?
Right.
What could we have done
Yeah.
differently?
Right.
A whole bunch of questions.
Yeah, so anyway, so that's kind of my whole thing behind that, yeah, okay. And I have one more on the next page.
Okay.
Yeah, page 223. Under, again, the work permit. Again, having gone through this, and I'm just trying to contribute something that might help parents, because I didn't know, until you have a kid go through it, then it's like, oh my God, so, and very minor thing. Let's see, where it's kind of midway. It will take up to 5 business days after you return the completed request for work permit. Where? Where do you turn it in? And I know now, the PACT office.
Yes.
I didn't know that then, my kid
Okay.
didn't know that then. So he turns it in here to the front office, and no, Mijo, you gotta go over there to the, okay, let's go get it over there, so that, so if you could put the
Details
PACT,
on-
yeah, the
Yeah,
location
absolutely.
really is the only thing that, and it didn't take 5 days, so you could say up to 5 days. They quick.
It says they said up to.
Is that what it says? Yeah. Okay, good, but yeah, please indicate PACT, so that people know. Those are my only 2 things on there.
You got that?
I think that's it. Yeah. Thank you for entertaining my comments.
Any other questions about any of the 5 candidates? Okay.
Thank you. Do we have an action item to approve? We do, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
I think I'm next.
Oh, you're approving. We gotta vote and then.
Oh, then you know.
We'll just take-
Okay, may I lost my spot again.
Right. Thank you. We just did that, so we have a little bit.
Yeah, okay, no,
Oh, that's exactly.
it's the student family handbooks.
Oh,
We
yeah.
took the employee handbook.
Yeah, now we're on
Right.
item
Now we have
K2,
to
which is
approve the
approval
students.
of the student handbook.
Do we have to do them individually?
Nope, all of
Okay,
them.
cool. All right, may I have a motion to approve the 2025-2026 student and family handbooks?
I so move.
Thank you, Maria. May I have a second? Oh my gosh, you're on top of it, Gina. Thank you. Roll call vote, Justin. Preeti?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Rivera?
Yes.
Jennifer, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Gina? Sean?
Yes. Yes.
Arsenio, thank you. Yes, all right, next up. Now it's your, oh no, it's Anita.
Anita.
The Thomas Charter School Business Continuity Plan.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You're good.
No, yeah, so I was just saying, the leading edge letter by Stephanie, I feel like there's some edits here. That's very good.
What do you think? If you send them to me. you can take them.
Very much.
You sure? Okay, I don't wanna rush you.
No changes, just minor.
Okay,
waiting for the presentation. I don't see it on the screen.
See? It's stop sharing.
There you go.
It's prevalence tonight.
Alrighty, okay. All right, get started on here. Okay, so this has been a long process for this year for our cyber insurance. So we first came to the board in August of 2024 for our cyber incident response plan, and then in January 13th of 2025 for our disaster recovery plan. Now, the business continuity plan is the third plan that we need to get approved for our cyber insurance as well. Now, this one was more intense as we put it together. Within your packet, the document is not for public release and stuff too. So
It is not within your packet.
it is not within your packet. You were emailed it separately. And just wanted to give a shout out. I understand that there were some formatting issues going from PC Word to Google or whatever. We will get that fixed up. But in case you go through the plan that was emailed to you, it was really based on two parts. The business continuity plan is what we need to have approved in place, but in order to do that, we had to, our IT team had to come up with a business impact analysis plan. And so it's actually an addendum to the BCP plan that you have in here. So just wanted to bring that to your attention. But the bottom line is for this, basically, for the continuity plan, is that we estimate as a school that if a disaster were to hit and stuff, it would be about 48 hours that we could get everything back up and running, best case scenario. If it exceeds 48 hours, then we're gonna start having some issues and problems and stuff on that piece. So what is the business continuity plan? So it consists of critical information for an organization that needs to continue operations during an unplanned emergency or disruptive event. It also states essential functions of the organization and identifies the systems and processes that must be sustained in order for us to pay people, keep educating students and stuff too. So a big part of that, as I mentioned, was the business impact analysis plan that identified all the specific systems that we're using here, what departments are involved, and things like that. So the scope of this is just really to make sure that we have something in place to make sure that during this ever-changing world that we have something in place, not only for cyber threats, but acts of nature, accidents, technical emergencies, and things like that. So without further drum roll, please, I want to again highlight. We always look for a reason to highlight one of our departments that aren't over here, and we want to pass it off to Jake at the head of our IT department. Give him a toast right here, and he's going to go over all the details that his team went over with both of these parts, the impact analysis as well as the business continuity plan. So,
Yeah. My name is Jacob Arnone. I'm the IT manager here at NCS. And so I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of like how we kind of created the business continuity plan. And so this is kind of like just pretty much a high overview of like the life cycle of the plan. So pretty much it's the project initiations, the scope, like what are we going to do, how is it going to be made, and then we actually use the business impact plan or analysis to actually poll the departments and see what their critical business impacts are. And then it goes into a mitigation strategy development, and then it becomes the actual planning of the plan. And then it goes into a testing phase, and then goes into this maintenance mode. Maintenance mode is pretty much, we evaluate it once a year, and then make tweaks, or if an event happens, and we didn't hit that, I think we have 48 hours mark that we need to adjust something in the plan. And so then it goes back into development, then testing and training, and it just says this life cycle, or at least on the bottom part. All right, and then, so this is pretty much just saying like, what is our
business impact analysis. And so we had to actually create or poll each department heads and see like what is the most mission critical processes that you have that if you didn't have, like how would you be able to function or not function? And so we took those from everywhere and we made this pretty long document you see in there about the which one had the most critical to high. I don't want to say low because they're all high standards, but what do we have to put in place first for the rest of them to flow? And that's pretty much what the business continuity plan or business impact analysis plan does. It just kind of puts everything in chronological order. And then, so this actually helps us with the business continuity plan, which also supports our the disaster recovery plan and the incident response plan as well. The business continuity plan actually is more in depth. As you'll see when you flip through the pages, it actually gives you like a step-by-step, like what we need to bring up, starting from systems to, power, like if, something goes wrong there. So it's like power, water, all the way to then systems, backups, switches, and then you're going all the way down into like, okay, now we'll bring up programs, school messenger, all that stuff. So it really gives you that granular look at our network. This is kind of what I already said, but we'll kind of go through it. So step one is to form a collaborative planning team, which is pretty much identifying who's going to be on the team. If something happens, we can reach out to them, phone numbers, contact information, that type of stuff. We determine the schedule meetings. Then step two, understanding the situation. This is actually where we perform the risk assessment of NCS, develop that BIA, and then we look at the downtime and we estimate it. So we came up with that 48 hours is our critical uptime. So step three, determine goals and objectives. Then we go to step four, which is the plan development. This is where we review everything that we presented to you guys to look at it. And it's actually right where we are now, which is the review, approve, and share the plan once it's been approved. Then we go into step five, which is the plan implementation and maintenance. And again, that's the kind of life cycle that I was talking about before, where we'll pretty much test it with tabletop exercises, which are they can be interactive, which is kind of cool. But it really just gets everybody thinking who's on these plans, like what's the next steps? Because you could have these plans all in place, but if you never test them and something really happens, then no one's really going to know what they're supposed to be doing. So it's kind of a fun game. You try to make it as fun as possible because it's more engaging. And then people kind of realize the first time I went through it, it was horrible. But because no one knew what they were supposed to do. So then now, like the second time I took my team with me and they fumbled through it, and I was like, that's perfect. That's what I want you to do. But now, so then we'll bring this to our team and our administrators and see what they do. So hopefully we can get it streamlined. So if something does happen, it's not really a big deal. Just grab the paperwork and then move forward.
So yeah, basically, this was like the dry part, putting all of the stuff together. I think the next steps that we're going into, especially for next year, the CERT, which is the Cyber Incidents Response Team, really consists of all administrators and stuff too, with the phone logs, entries and stuff. And then there's the Cyber Incident Notification Committee, which is more at the director level and stuff too. And really knowing, what people's roles are and everything. And so as part of our planning for next year, Jacob's team is actually going to be running, we'll have some scenarios. They're going to be running some of the tabletop exercises. But also too, we're going to see what we missed when we put this together and what the questions are and stuff too. So really training our teachers and staff after we go through some of those tabletop exercises. It's just going to always be constantly evolving. And as the other school members in our insurance group start getting their stuff done, because we're kind of independent on each other. For example, our finance system is through the County Office of Education. As they put together their plan, they might provide this information to insert into ours. And so it's just evolving as staff changes. We'll be updating lists too, because you have to specifically list staff names of who's in charge. Yeah. Open up for questions.
Questions? Chrissy, Justin, questions? Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Yeah, Gina, Sean.
Yes.
Arsenio. Okay. All right, next up, she's ready. Finally, you get to come back for.
I know. I was excited before I had to wait.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Amplify M class with, is it Dibbles?
Dibbles.
Dibbles?
Dibbles.
That does not follow.
You know,
Dibbles. Thank you
for a
very much.
phonics screener, you would think.
I'd like it noted.
All right, so we are here to talk about the reading screener selection. So if we go to the next one. So we had in 2023, Senate Bill 114, which is talking about putting in place in California reading difficulties risk screeners. So the legislature decided that there were too many students that were not reading at grade level, which I think we can all agree across the state. And so they wanted to put something in place so that we can ensure that students were catching up. And sometimes people talk about this as a dyslexia screener, and that can be part of what you're catching, but it's really a reading screener to see if there's possible things that we need to work with. So they wanted to make sure that we are catching all of the students. There are about 1.2 million kindergarten to second grade students in California, so it's a lot. And so part of the process is they had a team get together, they looked at all the different submissions from different companies on screeners, and then they selected 4 screeners that were approved by the state. And so each school or LEA had to choose one of the screeners. And so we go to the next one. Oh, before we get to that, I also wanted to share, it's not as if we didn't have any screeners in place. This is just the state saying you have to pick one of these 4. So I wanted to say that we do have current screening practices in place. We have for K-5, we do iReady diagnostic, which gives us data on who might be possibly at risk of having a reading screener. We also do the BPST, the core phonics survey, and then iReady also has fluency passages that we do with our students that we're concerned about. So we start with iReady, and then based on where they are, then we keep digging. And what it does is it narrows down what is the area that the student needs additional support or focus. 6 through 8, we do iReady as well. We do core phonics survey, the San Diego Quick, and of course the iReady fluency passages. The first ones, the core phonics and San Diego Quick, those ones are really getting at phonemic awareness. And then once the students build their skills, then we go to the fluency. So we're working on how fast can they read. And then 9 through 12, same type of thing. So we already have these things in place, but we had to pick one of the 4 that were offered by the state.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you just mention what San Diego Quick is? Curious.
Yes, the San Diego Quick it's a quick screener. I used it as an English teacher. And so it is where you have a series of words that the kids, you say, read these words, and then you're marking down, you're like, oh, they did, used a short vowel instead of a long vowel, or, it gets more and more difficult as you go. And so then you kind of are marking like how far could they go? And then that tells you like what is, where are they at? What is their next level that they need to work on? Yeah, so it helps you pick what the intervention should be or how you can support their learning. So the state came up with 4 different choices. We watched online webinars. We went to San Joaquin County Office of education and saw presentations. We had a team. We had PAC teachers, we had STAR teachers, we had our Alyssa Ortiz-Khan, who's our EL TOSA, and she's a literacy guru as well. We had the Diana Wilson and Alicia Carter, the principals. And so we looked at the resources, then we narrowed it down to 2. So we had narrowed it down to the Amplify Education, which has the MClass DIBELS, and the UCSF Multitudes. And so of those were our top 2. So then we did a pilot. And so the teachers piloted them with a couple of students, trying it out, looking at, what data do we get, all of that. And then based on that, we are going with Amplify Education, which that's a company we actually use for some of our science curriculum. So we know that they're pretty reliable. And so the MClass with DIBELS 8, not the earlier DIBELS, it's DIBELS 8. Just in case you start talking about it.
Still pronouncing it.
Yeah. So that's the decision we're going with. We did have, a preference to have different ones at different academies, but we decided that really we need to have one consistent screener per LEA. So that is the one that we selected. And then training and implementation. Amplify is providing training for all of these. So we are going to have in-person training, which we think is best for the teacher learning. So we'll have a launch, a strengthen, and coaching that they will come through. I've been working with Diana Wilson and Alicia Carter trying to figure out when those would be the best time for those trainings. So it'll be for all of our PACT Academy advisors and then our K-2 teachers at STAR Academy. And then testing timeline, 1st and 2nd grade, we're thinking maybe October or that late fall. We want the students to feel comfortable, to be kind of back in the swing of things. Kindergarten, though, we're looking to test in winter, just because we found with kindergartners, if you do it too early, they just don't have those academic skills yet. So once kind of rolling, we know what school is, we know how to sit down and do an assessment. But all of these, or this assessment, it is done one-on-one with a teacher or a staff member. And so you go through a battery of assessments. It only takes about 10 minutes per student, 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll be working on a plan where we're having some release for the teachers to pull the students as they're doing that. And then as with all database intervention, you start with the data. And so this will be combined into our MTSS process where we're looking at this screener as another data point, looking at, grouping the students at STAR, especially that will go into their win time. So the teachers will be able to look at, okay, here's a group of students that needs this, here's a group of students that needs this, and they're going to put them into the rotations. And one thing that I really like, because it's more data, is that within the system, you can look at their multiple year growth. And so we'll be able to test them. So the students will be tested with this screener in kindergarten, 1st grade, and 2nd grade. It is something that we could use in the upper grades as well. So if we have a concern about a 3rd grader or a 5th grader or something, we can still utilize that. And so that would be a part of the MTSS process, but it's not a requirement. And usually by the time they get to 3rd grade, we know where the students are at and who we need to focus on. So it doesn't have to be every child. So that is our plan and our selection. Are there any questions?
So is this on top of the iReady? So this is an additional testing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The iReady tells us different things. And so there is a portion of the iReady that gives you phonics information, but it doesn't give you the level that you would need to at this point. One thing that we are looking at is is looking at, you know, like if we're using the BPST and the, you know, core phonics or something, we're looking at, okay, once we get the full screener, we might look and say, oh, well, maybe we don't have to do, you know, this part of the BPST because that's embedded in the DIBEL screener. So we will get rid of anything that's duplicative to make sure that we're not spending extra time or unnecessary time doing assessments with the students.
So, I have to go back and see what, so right now, based on what's happening is for kindergarten through second grade,
We're required to, starting next fall, to assess all kindergarten, first and second graders each year. Mhm. And then we'll use as needed with third through, I think you can go up to 8th with this screen.
but currently what is going on is that combination of different.
Right, yes.
Testing and surveys.
Yes, and so, you know, they do similar types of things, all these different screeners. It's just that like the BPST didn't get, you know, adopted by a company that did the research and submitted it to California. And I mean, there's other states that have, that approved, iReady has a screener. And it's approved in other states, it just wasn't approved in California.
So how's it work for our like younger kids, like Star Academy? Have you found that a combination of those various assessments, I guess you can put it that way, has helped and you've identified?
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's really what the teachers do is they, you know, especially like in kindergarten, at the beginning of the year, you'll see them sitting outside in the little room in the hub, you know, and they're, you know, or at PACT, they're doing it in the advisor meetings. But they're sitting down with them and they're having them, you know, read this, say this, you know, do these little things. And it's that one-on-one testing, because there were some that were not one-on-one, the kid was just talking into the computer, and we didn't like that, because as the teacher, you want to like see how they're processing, hear what they're doing, and then that lets you know where that issue is. I mean, that's why I would do it with high school students when I was an English teacher, because I'd be like, okay, yeah, you're not reading so well, let me see where, you know, where's that missing chunk. And so it works really well, and then you know exactly what they need. What? All right.
Yeah. So with the gaps that we're seeing into going into middle school, would this be something that we can possibly utilize to also kind of assess some like incoming maybe sixth graders or something?
Yeah, it absolutely, and I think that's where, because when they let you test it, they don't let you have access to the whole thing. Sure, of course you get like a little chunk of it. And so once we get the whole thing and we start like utilizing it, then we can look at, you know, how, you know, what is the most appropriate way to use this with the older students? And it would just be a one-by-one, you know, type of thing. You know, if you're like, oh, little Laura is, you know, is not, you know, keeping up, you know, something's going on. And so then you do a test. And that's actually how we've done our literacy intervention at the middle school. This year is Alyssa Ortiz-Khan was working with a paraeducator, and they were doing these assessments, and then they found kids that needed phonics, and so then they've been working on phonics work with them, and they've seen huge growth for the kids. All the kids were 3 or more grade levels below, and one or two have gotten up to grade level. You know, it's like you're just filling in those little empty spaces, you know, and then they start picking it up really fast. But yeah, it's really good.
All right, we good? All right, may I have a motion to approve Amplify M-Class with dibbles? With dibbles? Reading. With dibbles reading screeners. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. Second. Maria, thank you. Roll vote, Justin.
Yes.
Preeti. Yes. Maria.
Yes.
Jennifer, yes. David. Yes. Gina. Yes. John.
Yes.
Arsenio.
Yes.
Okay. Next up, first reading of board policy 5141.52 suicide prevention.
Okay, again, some super light, fun reading for you all. I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of give you like an overview of some of the changes. So there was legislation that came out that did require our suicide prevention policy to address specific things that we're doing to support our students based on grade levels. So before we kind of had this general policy, but now it's what do we do for like our kindergartners all the way up to our 12th graders, what's age appropriate. So within this policy, some of the things that have been updated is we developed a suicide prevention crisis team, and that consists of different site administrators, mental health support staff, like counselors and psychologists. Amy, director of, oh my gosh, I'm like, sorry, social education, student services director, and so it's a comprehensive team. And really the purpose of that team is to look over this policy on a regular basis, just to make adjustments along the way based on what we see and based on our learning. The policy does call out additional professional development and professional learning for our mental health staff in the areas of risk assessments and our response to suicidal ideation or suicide attempts. It does call out professional development for all staff at each of our campuses to understand the signs of students who might be at risk of suicide and then how to respond to students appropriately. It does call out student education. So what are we doing? What kind of conversations are we having at the elementary level all the way up to the high school level? It also calls out our plans to provide resources and communication to support students around mental health, but also around suicidal ideation and attempts. The policy also calls out the procedures and responses if there are suicide attempts, either here on campus or away from campus. And then there's some language in there about suicide prevention and the messaging that we push out to our families throughout the year. I do want to just call out before I take questions, Anita, you had a couple questions, and so I just want to thank you for giving us those questions ahead of time. I need you in my personal life for like proofreading, so thank you. I'll send you all my personal documents. So just to call out, Anita had a couple questions. If it's okay, I'll just cruise through those real quick.
Go for it, yeah.
On page 33, it talks about our suicide, our SPCP, and you had asked a question about why is there not someone on leading edge? And so that was a total oversight. And so thank you for calling that out. Considering it's a smaller academy, I want to change language in there that we will either add the leading edge principal or counselor, just because it's a smaller academy, but I wanted to call it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we will add that part. It was nothing personal for leading edge at all. You had mentioned on page 336 in the third line, it states NCSI, I should say NCS, so thank you for catching that. Again, sending you my personal documents. This was a great question. I appreciate this. On page 337, I'm just going to read it. It's a little bit lengthy.
Yeah.
You had a question around this clarification. I will make sure I answer your question. So the sentence is, the instruction is provided under the supervision of NCS employed mental health professionals with input from county and community mental health agencies and middle school and high school students. And that was like underlined. So I didn't know what the question was. I think I know what the question is, but I wanted to just.
I just didn't understand that, right? It says instruction is provided under the supervision of NCS employed mental health professionals with input from county and community mental health agencies and middle school and high school. So middle school and high schools are providing the input?
Yes. So we want to do some listening sessions of, what are you seeing out there? What are you hearing out there? What might kids need for support? So that's what that was. They're not doing the instruction.
No, that's why I guess it was just maybe the way it was worded. I was like, wait, they're providing instruction or they're just providing the input?
I see that, yeah, that's that last sentence. So it's input from our mental health agencies and then our students.
Got it, okay. Yep.
90-day is still active, fair question these days. So I verified it. Well, as of 4 o'clock today it was, so that's still there. You had some formatting and spacing questions that were on page 339, so I'll work with Eva on that.
Yeah.
Clean up. And then on page 340, this was very confusing, and so I really appreciate you calling this out. The thing you had asked was, the first sentence states, in the event a suicide occurs or is attempted during the school day on the NCS campus, and you're right, it doesn't align with the title of Action Plan for Off-Campus Suicide Attempts. So we're just going to delete that sentence altogether. So thank you for calling that out. So I think I hit all the points, and again, thank you, I appreciate that. Are there other questions outside of Nita's amazing edits?
I have one
Go
slight
ahead.
edit. I don't know if you caught it. Just for
I was
clarity.
Sure.
We have a child that is, needs help for some reason. Do we have a digital way to get a hold of a counselor as opposed to those big scary outside agency numbers on their ID.
Like, do you mean like after hours?
You know, like if they're at school and they have like ideation, and do we have like someone, do they know, like, let me text this person, so it's a confidential. I know you have counselors on campus, but what if they walk into a counselor's office and like they're with a colleague or with another student, and then the kind of thing, you know, like, is there
We just want to make sure that I understand your question. So are you saying if a staff member is concerned about a student, is there a way?
Is there a self-reporting, like a
Yes,
confidential,
yes.
like digital way, or do they have to go to a counselor?
So there's a couple different ways. It kind of depends on which academy. At Star Academy, there's like a request to meet with a counselor sheet, which is more appropriate for elementary students. So she's got a process there. SS2 is always open, and so the kids they can walk down there. Our PFAA students and our ECA students are really good about emailing their counselor, I need to meet with you. And our counselors watch their emails pretty regularly for that, in that way.
Is there like a special code for them to be like, this is a priority, so that a counselor isn't like pushing them off, like, oh, but I have these people, I'll put them off until next week?
Yeah, I will say our counselors do a really good job of taking any mental health issues seriously. We have our securely alerts too, so if any student is using their Google account and they search for anything around like suicide, depression, anxiety, it triggers an alert that I get, and then our admin assistant for student services gets, and then we notify the counselor right away, hey, student A just searched for depression, and the counselors are really good at prioritizing those students, saying, I'm gonna pull that student right away.
They're probably why, so I get to be counselor for a day this year, which was an interesting experience. But it was here on this campus. And the counselors do a lot of like supporting each other. So if a counselor, like since I was a substitute counselor, the counselor that I was subbing for, her email basically was indicating that, you know, Dr. Woodsomath is filling in for me today, but you are also available to meet with this person and this person as well. So there's, you know, a couple of different ways that students can access the counselors. Also, as part of our comprehensive suicide prevention training that we do every year, all of the teachers and staff members have been trained to, if the student says, you know, I need to talk to a counselor, that they do kind of an immediate referral to the counselor.
I used to worry about it because I have a lot of patients, like especially women, that they know where to go. They know they say they have chest pain. I'm not gonna call 911. I'm just gonna go ask this person, and they'll sit in the waiting room and they'll just patiently wait because, oh, but I filled out that form, rather than like jumping and be like, nope, I need to go first. Like sometimes there's like a anonymous digital suicide specific form that could be submitted, so it goes right to the top, so that counselor can stop and be like a triage kind of thing, right? Like I probably need to go see this, instead of them being nice and sit there and be like, oh, maybe I'll go away, maybe I'll feel better tomorrow.
Yeah, so I mean, I want to be clear, so I was counselor for the day. Like basically, kids come into the office, they fill out a form, it immediately goes into a spreadsheet, like a triage form, that basically all the counselors can see. And we do a lot of like, Gina's here, she needs to talk to someone right now, who's available, you know?
And again, like knock on wood, like I don't want to say like our system is foolproof. I will just say across all our academies though, our counselors take it pretty seriously, that any mention of depression, anxiety, it's a top of the list. Even if it's like more like low level where you're like, oh my gosh, it's not suicide, but I do think, I know our counselors do a really good job of prioritizing those students.
I would also add our non-counseling staff does too, you know?
Yeah, and I guess I can only speak for the counselors.
Can I make one comment, because I recently got I was unaware of the notification system.
Yeah.
As a parent, I think, I'm on here on this board, and I didn't know that we had that added protection. And I can say as a parent, it was very helpful to know that that was there so we could address it. But it's something that I was totally unaware of, but like just forever grateful for. So, but you know, again, that's like dealing with the Google accounts going back and forth, and how there's some, I don't know, screening or some algorithm that helps them pull out, you know, words that may be indicating certain things. So, but just want to say that, you know, I was just like at the moment very grateful that something like that exists. It's not going to catch everything, of course.
Yeah.
You know, there has to be a communication on the Google accounts, but it was something that I was tremendously grateful for. So thank you guys for Probably that
Thank
was,
you. That's good feedback. You never really know how it lands, so.
Right.
Good question?
Yeah, Jen, did you have a question?
Oh, yes, I did. Page 333, I think it's like the third paragraph, I think.
Sure didn't bring my computer, so I will just join you up here. It's the third paragraph, you said?
Yeah, it's a weird, the first sentence and the second sentence, it looks like that should be a comma, not a period.
In this, the policy shall be?
No, what about?
Oh, NCS shall work.
conjunction.
NCS shall work in local arrangements, community-based organizations and other communities.
Yeah.
Oh, are you saying that period doesn't belong there?
Yeah,
To
and
ensure
then
the
there's
policies?
another weird period there too between all and NCS. I think that whole paragraph needs a little bit of love. I was just having a bad day, but. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this needs to be a comma right here.
How do we want to do that? Do we want to
It was
just
last
work
adopted
on
in
it
2020,
and bring it back
so-
next time?
Well, we have to do a second reading.
Okay.
So what we need to do is, it says, this is to ensure the policies regarding suicide prevention
Yeah,
are fully
you're
adopted,
really your
implemented,
license.
updated, and easily accessible to all, comma, NCS shall appoint an individual or team.
Okay, so we'll clean up that paragraph. Okay, thank you. I love, it just needs a little love. I can steal that in my life. So thank you. Yeah. Works. Deal. Okay.
All right, we'll be back next month for a second reading adoption.
All right, let's talk about something else. Another one.
First reading of board policy 6163.4 student technology and internet safety with acceptance.
Laura's back.
Laura's back.
Hi, long time no see. I brought my computer because I learned from Pedro. So, that's great. Let's see, and then I would like to also say, thank you, Nita, for finding some elements in here. Let's see, we did have in the policy, and I thought I had taken them out, but maybe not. There were references to a technology coordinator, which was Joe a million years ago.
Yeah.
So I was fairly certain we had taken them all out, but those will be replaced with principal. So they would, and that's referencing, like, if a student has an issue or something, they would talk to their teacher or principal, and then the principal will advocate with the IT team. Let's see, we have two places where it says executive and the word director dropped out,
Yeah.
which I don't know how that happened. It needs some love.
Okay.
Let's see, on page 349, there's software, and then software, keep going down, right, so right here, software, we're supposed to bump down here, and I think we saw that it was missing and we put it in again, so software. Let's see.
We have.
Oh, and then we are using NCS and Natomas Charter School, and we can just shorten the whole thing by just doing NCS after the first one, so I love it. Yes, so.
There was one more on 348, under J.
Oh, yes.
Oh, the 12, the like random floating.
There was a
Reference
random,
of 12.
there's a random 12 in there, and then the second sentence starts by, I hereby waive any rights that I may otherwise have in and to such material, and then it says number 12.
Yes, so that, 12. It's just 12, no, yeah, I don't know where that came from.
No, you know what, I think that actually.
Like, I don't think that sentence should be in there.
Well, but I
Or-
think maybe actually that it should be K and not 12, which is ironic, because L
Oh.
is 12 in the
Yes,
alphabet line.
yeah, no personal computers, laptops, yes.
So that, because I think that's.
So it must have
separate
been
bullet.
numbered, and then
Yeah.
somebody wanted it to
So
be.
this policy was a
yeah.
mashup of like 3 other policies.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so starting off with this, we were looking at like having to update certain elements of the COPA, all of the things with updates, and so then, yeah, we had to kind of take and piecemeal, and Ziva and I were going back and forth with Jacob, and So so it needs some love. And you know what? Do you know who is the smartest person in the room? The room. That's why we have you guys look at
It is a multimedia center.
It's all the brains in this room. Yeah, because
Late for riddles.
you can ask Ziva and I, you look at it so many times and all of a sudden,
They're like cross-eyed.
it's all crazy.
Outside and more on daylight.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions about that lovely policy?
Just gotta understand.
No? Okay, we'll make corrections for next month.
Thank you.
All right, and then, am I next?
Yes.
Yep. Keep going.
Okay. All right, so I get to make a presentation about my amazing team. We are the team, I think we're just general problem solvers, because we don't belong to any one academy, and we just kind of tackle anything teaching and learning. So, let's see, starting with, well, there's me. I do a bunch of stuff. You guys know that. Okay.
How did you get herself?
I know. Well, because we were everywhere. Ziva, Amy, and I were twinning, and I really wanted to use that picture.
Front and center.
So, yeah. So I just wanted to put it on my picture. So, yes. So I do a lot of things. Okay, next one.
Wait, let's admire the picture.
No. This is the boring slide. Let's get to the really good ones. Okay.
You can tell it's getting along. Okay.
All right. So we have our math TOSA, which is teacher on special assignment, Courtney Selby. And so she has been working with the math teachers, the secondary math teachers, working with them on CPM, looking at intervention, all sorts of things. She's done a beautiful job working with them with building thinking classrooms, which are strategies, not strategies. She said, don't use the word strategy, and then there I do. Okay, which is a way to run your classroom so that the students are engaged in the learning and not just receiving the information, so it gets them up and moving. And so she models that as she trains the teachers. So the picture here at the bottom is using the building thinking classroom. So you're working on virtual services. So everybody's standing up, everybody's engaged. We're working on math problems together. And so that is the way to really get students engaged in the learning. She has a bunch of successes. That we have the middle school math study. She was an integral part of that. Math fluency rollout with all of the fun math games. She's getting ready for the STAR open house, where we're gonna have those ready. Oops, I'm so sorry. It's like an alarm. There's no need. No, you're awake.
Yeah, it was our emergency system.
There's not an emergency, is there?
No, there's not an emergency.
Okay, are you sure?
No, I swiped
Sure, we
my
don't need to
phone.
back in. Emergency alert system.
We had a drill earlier, and when I swiped my phone to open it hit a notification. Sorry about that.
I don't love that.
Okay. Next time I'm putting a picture of Anita and me on the thing, so, I know. Okay, let's see, she has worked with getting the math teachers to go to different conferences, building their skills. They're super excited, they're super engaged. Actually, what she was talking about wanting to do with the board next fall is maybe having something where she does a little training for you guys on the building thinking classrooms and the CPM, and then maybe taking you to go walk through the math classrooms and such. So anyway, lots of fun ideas. So Courtney is doing some really good stuff. Next one is Alyssa Ortiz-Khan, who's our language and literacy TOSA. And so she has been working really hard with the principals to develop some literacy intervention practices, building skills with teachers. She has been training people in a program called UFly, which is University of Florida Literacy something. and getting more and more people on campus trained to do that additional support, including our library staff here. Working with EL community or committee at Star Academy, working on writing. She is just all things language and literacy, and getting teachers together to become leaders and to study and learn together as we delve into that. Pardon me. Oh, my allergies. Okay. She's also been instrumental in developing our middle and high school intervention course for our students who have literacy needs and for our English learners. Okay. They have a support menu. These are the types of things that they do. They also met each other in Disneyland randomly. So. But they are in charge of our new staff onboarding, so they run that for all new staff each fall, and then they follow up with those staff throughout the year, and then actually they're about to do end of year feedback sessions for all the new staff to find out like what was good, what would have helped you, how can we improve, all of those things. They work to help support teachers do cross-curricular planning, working with the teachers, especially in math, on the co-teaching, really supporting that. They do coaching cycles, professional development, all sorts of stuff. And then, this is like such a wonderful moment. They are two TOSAs, and they were like, we need a community. We need to learn what other TOSAs are doing out there in the world. So they started the first ever Sacramento area TOSA network. They started by reaching out to MP3 and Westlake, and they found a couple of TOSA-y people there. And then they said, hey, why stop there? And so now they are working with a bunch of people from Gateway Community Charter, San Juan, Elk Grove, Sac City, Folsom Cordova, and Twin Rivers Unified. So that's their first TOSA network meeting, so it was tiny. They're like, no, it's big, but we didn't take a picture. And now they've got a system where they're rotating, going to each other's school sites, so that they can see and they can do walks together, and so they're learning and trading a bunch of ideas. So I'm just really proud of them for building the community that they needed and then spreading the learning. So they're awesome. Okay, library services. Caitlin Kelly, she is our library media instructor. She does so many things. She works with the teachers. She collaborates, she gets research guides for teachers that have a subject that they want the students to research, so she'll pull all the resources. She'll get books out. She had Ms. Sanchez's class in here the other day and Mr. Pollard's classes, and she does book tastings where they have a topic that they have, and so she selects all these books and puts them out on the tables, and then she has this process they go through where read in them and see if they like them, and it's like a little tasting, like cheese tastings or something. And then, like she had kids that wanted to take home 5 nonfiction books from Miss Sanchez's class, and she was like, no, because there's 4 more periods that have to go through here, so you can't take all the books. But she is constantly working on going through our collection, making sure that if there's things that haven't been checked out or are no longer relevant, updating them, continuing with that. And she's also the one who runs our Poetry Out Loud competition. And so we had one of our students that went to the county level and did pretty well, was the alternate for the state. So that was pretty exciting. And let's see, she supports with our PBIS team, BSU co-advisor, all sorts of things. All right, next one. Then we have Jasmine Crabtree, who was the owner of the frog that was highlighted a couple of meetings ago.
Oh, yeah.
And so Jasmine is fabulous. She greets all the kids. She knows all the kids. They do all sorts of fun activities. Many of the displays that you see up are her creation.
Is the top center one her creation?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
They
that's
all are, but that's
the cardboard carnival is in conjunction with Mr. Vetter's art, I think preview class.
The frog grew and it's now.
Oh,
yeah. Frog.
Yes, they did leave Ziva. The frog went home, and then now there's a statue of frog for those of you at home. Yeah, so they created a whole carnival theme. and everything, and they even dressed the part. We had November, they have, they put together books for, so mystery books or, you know, different themed at Valentine's Day, there's a book date, something like that, where you, like, it says like, you know, fantasy or whatever, and you just grab the book, you don't know what it is till you get it home. They do summertime book boredom busters, all sorts of things. So and they have the tech prospective, so many amazing things. All right, let's see, library media data. Oh, and this, okay, you can't really see it because there's the little thing up there, but they had National Puppet Day. So they had puppets of themselves that they were using. It was really cute. But they have lots of data. They have total items in the collection is almost 7,000 different books, the average age, all sorts of things. Patrons served 1,208. Circulation is about 4 books per patron. I know some kids are way above that. I see them coming in on the daily. And they hold lots of classes and events and things, and they really make this a welcoming place. One thing, Gina, that you would love to hear is that Jasmine has worked with the counselors and special education. And so if we have students that are working on, like, they get overstimulated or something and they just need a quiet moment, they like set it up, and so then they can come in here and they can come in, and so Jasmine will will say, okay, what's your strategy? She knows what they're doing, I'm going to do counting, I'm going to do breathing, whatever the thing is. She's got fidgets plenty, and then they have their 5-10 minutes, whatever they've set up. They calm down, they collect themselves, and then she checks in, hey, how are we doing now? Like, what, let's get you back to class, so they really, this is a very caring and loving place. And it takes a lot of heart and dedication, and they know every kid, and they know what books they like, and when they get a new one in, they're like, oh my gosh, you need this one. So, really great. All right, next one. I think we're going to STAR, yes. So library services are also at STAR Academy. So Chris Strazo, he also does book tastings. That's why he looks like a chef there. But they do morning checkout before school so that students can go in and check out books. It's very popular. Let's see, he works on circulation. He is one of the specials teachers, so students rotate through the library, and he has different lessons and things that he plans for the different grade levels, and they get to check out books. So it's really really awesome to be in there with all the kids. So, all right, and then Star Library data. So we have 9,000 books. Let's see, we've added 566 this year, 635. The circulation is 31 books per patron, which is pretty good, but like the whole class comes in. So that's why it's more than, we don't do class visits to the library at the secondary. But yeah, so he definitely engages the kids and they love him. He has parent helpers that come in with the library and then student helpers that come in as well. Okay, Ziva's pushing me. Sorry, I love my team. They're so exciting. Okay, we have our fabulous new data manager, Adriana Vasquez. She is in charge of all things data systems, from CalPads to PowerSchool to, she's helping us onboard all sorts of new things from the counseling end to the emergency alert system to everything. This lady does all the data. She has come in this year. She started in July. She is patient. There's never a problem. She's just calm, like, she's working with the office staff. They're making the processes tighter and more efficient, and always does it with a smile and a caring attitude. So such a great addition. Okay, next one. All right. Oh, and then our awesome IT team. You met Jacob earlier, so he's our IT manager. We also have Nick Pastorino and Gabriel Kowalski. And then their home base is here on this campus, but they go around to all of the different campuses. I think I'm going on to the next one about that, yes. So I asked them about, what are their successes? What do they really want to brag about? And they don't like to brag. It's so funny. I had to pull it out of them. But they did the cybersecurity plan, the disaster recovery plan. They are updating our backup systems, making sure we don't lose all of our data, making sure everything's secure. And then it goes on to, they mentor seniors for their senior projects. They have student interns that they're teaching tech skills to. Let's see, they're updating computer labs, replacing things. Their IT team feedback survey every year when they do the administrator survey, I have a section for my staff, and they're very proud because people are like in the 90s with how happy they are with the IT team. So they're knocking it out of the park. And so, yeah, and then, they do a lot of projects over the summer. They're replacing phone lines, they're putting in TVs, they're just doing everything. Yes, okay. Oh, any questions about my awesome team? No, you can't steal them for your own. Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, Star Academy presentation.
I'm Diana Wilson, Principal of Star Academy, here to give you an update tonight, along with Carolyn Hines, our Associate Principal. Just to let you know what Star's been up to this year. We're going to talk about our academic focus for this year, our UDL training and coaching, the refinement of our instructional practices, curriculum and instruction, and then culture and climate. And just to revisit our NCS school-wide vision, mission, and vision this year, our goals to build a strong school culture and strong rigorous instruction, and that they go together hand in hand. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. The first section is on strong rigorous instruction. All right, there we go. Alrighty, so we started off the year strong with our data-driven instruction. We started off very quickly assessing our students in iReady the second week in August to get that benchmark data from the summer to see where our kids were at. And after that, we revisited that data during our MTSS time. We have MTSS meetings every week on Monday with grade level teams. They come in and they meet with us for about 40 minutes. And we talk about data during that time. We focus on our win time, which is what I need, which is that differentiated instructional time in all classrooms 4 days a week, which is about 40 minutes where they all switch children and the kids go with the teacher where they need to focus on the most, whether we're addressing math standards or ELA standards during that time. And continually over the first semester, we talked about measurable instructional outcomes with iReady data, but also with data from the classroom, from the win time, from regular curriculum assessments and student work. And then we adjusted our instruction in our groups as needed based on that instructional data that we have. Next. We also worked with our leadership team this year to do some vertical alignment among grade levels from kindergarten all the way to 5th grade. We tackled math, reading, and then writing. The math piece we did first because our data shows that math needs a little more focus than ELA. And all the teachers identified the 3 standards that were must-haves for their grade level in the beginning of the year. So fourth graders need to have this, third graders need to have this, second graders need to have this. And then we did a rotation. It was led by teachers meeting with the grade level below you and then the grade level above you to talk about those standards. And then they all accumulated those standards in one document that we still have. And that piece was very impactful towards math. Most of the needs from the grade levels were procedure-based and fluency-based. Teachers identified the need to be more fluent and quick and have a deep understanding of numeracy and numbers and all those things. So our math data was really strong, and you could even see it in the classroom walkthroughs, just them focusing on those key standards.
We did the same thing for reading, run by our leadership team. And then last but not least, we talked about our writing rubrics across grade levels. So the next step with writing will be to bring writing samples in from students and what's proficient at each grade level and where do we launch off each year so that we're launching off from that high point from the previous grade level. So that will happen next year. And this is data you saw at the end of December. This is our results for our first iReady with our focus on instruction. Overall, we grew from 47% to 63% proficient in reading. And I wanted to call out third grade. Third grade, we're very data driven, and last year third grade wasn't happy with their data, especially with ELA, and they revised their scope and sequence to meet that need, and it worked out really well. They grew a ton, and our data last year in third grade did not show that significant of growth, so they're really proud of their work. And the next page is math. So 26% to 54%, a nice steady climb with math with the grade levels. And the next slide, this is my favorite graph. It comes on my dashboard as an administrator, and it shows our iReady data as we take tests in 4 different quadrants. And if you'll notice, we are in the ideal spot. We are high performing and we have high growth in most of our grade levels, and that's exciting. And then we dip a little bit into the high performance and lower growth, but very happy that we are not at all on the other side, which is low performing and low growth on this side. And then, of course, there's low performance and high growth, which we have some of that as well with individual students. So that's reading, and the next page is math. So we're clustered in the right area. And then kindergarten, you haven't seen kindergarten data yet this year. This is them from their first to their second reading in iReady. And remember, our kinders are just learning to use the platform. Yeah, they're just learning. So, and they also do, as Laura was saying, they use the BPST and the core phonics and other one-on-one assessments in kindergarten to get a lot of their data as well. And we weave that data into our MTSS meetings as well. But we give them the practice with iReady for their learning year in kindergarten. So that was reading. And the next page is their math growth.
So, quick question on the slide before, you don't have to change it, but down on the bottom it says from 24%, from 30, from 46, what does that mean?
That is from, I'm not quite sure where that was from. I did not mean to grab that. Can I find out for you later when I?
Yeah, no, it's
back in
okay. If
there?
you didn't mean to grab it, it's
now.
Yes. So what it means is it's saying from the last diagnostic, that was what the percent was.
Okay, so we went from 24 to 70, or?
It says from 24, from 30, from 46.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So now, okay.
Yeah.
That's good, right?
That's
really
good.
good.
Yeah. Mid-year. Yeah, Those this is are just mid-year. mid-year. Yeah.
So does the 24% compare to the 40 or the 70?
To the 70, they're color coded.
Yeah, I know, but there's two.
But they both say current
There's
placement.
two distributions. Those are.
Oh, wait, maybe it's covering up the ones from above. So maybe the 24 does compare to the, nice.
It goes to the 70. Yeah, I think those were cut and pasted.
Yeah, I
So
did
covering up the
screenshots from iReady. I was trying to save space.
Yes, you're missing the from percentage for the top one.
Yeah.
That was probably like the first assessment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can pull that and get that to you.
It works. It's good. Thank you.
Okay, where's that back? All right, let's go to the next slide. So also during our MTSS time, we talked with teachers about data chats and hanging charts in their classroom and really looping the kids in on their assessment work. They do all these things during the school day, but how are we giving them feedback? And how do they know what they do is important every day? So they had, if you look at on the very far right side, we have graphs that the teacher created from fall to winter assessments for their classroom so that kids can see the growth that they made. It's hanging in the classroom. And then individual students with teachers each had one of these forms. This is from third, fourth, and fifth grade. And then this one is from our lower grades, first and second. So the kids could graph their performance and write their goals and before they took the second diagnostic. So it really kind of looped them in to give them that buy-in and to realize what they do matters. Do you have a question? Oh, sorry. I gotta say something. And then next. And then that takes us to the spring. So we did a lot of work since we diagnostic test in August and then again in December. And then we had this dry period where we don't have a lot of iReady data, which is fine. We wouldn't want to take it 4 times. So we bring in some of our projected growth models in the software for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And then we use other common assessment data to talk about our students from the unit tests to student work. And we discuss academic needs. And then we drill down into the standards to give specific time for win time and target that instruction for the differentiated instructional time. And then if you look here, those are our projections from window 1 to window 2 for CAS performance from the iReady system from back in December. So in window 1, it was predicting this percentage of students would be at a level 4 should they take the CASP test at that time, and then going on down the way. So level 3, level 2, and level 1. So we're hoping those numbers will change. You look confused. I'm sorry.
What are the levels?
Oh, I'm sorry, the CASP levels. So thank you. So level 4 is performing above grade level on state standards. This is level 3. This is at grade level. So met expectations, exceeded expectations, approaching expectations, and below right here. So that's how the parents receive their CASP information, and that's how we receive it as well. So this is for ELA.
So over time, we want level 1 and level 2 getting smaller.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we want level 4
Yes.
and level 3 getting bigger.
Yeah.
It's going in the right direction. It's a little weird graph.
No, now it makes sense, now it's good.
And the same as the next page is for math. So again, exceeded, met, approaching, and below.
And the y-axis is number of students.
Percentage. Yeah. So about
Percentage of students.
1% should be level 4, and about like 35% should be level 3. So kind of get it.
Next one. And then this year, you heard about this recently. This is our open access work with PCOE, Universal Design for Learning. And that's all about using different strategies for students to maintain and increase engagement and access for all students. So we did that through Placer County Office of Education through the state open access grant. And we've had full staff training. We've had lots of classroom walkthroughs with PCOE. And we've had 1 or 2 team levels, grade level teams reach out to PCOE and get individual coaching. So they've been on our site often to do that piece. We will be a visitation site next school year for other schools to come see us. We are one of 2 open access visitation sites at the moment. One's up in Humboldt and one is here in Sacramento, which is us. So that's exciting. We're looking forward to that. PCOE recently walked through and they were impressed with our work. It was a 4-year implementation cycle. We've completed the first 2 years in 1 year. We didn't mean to do that. It was a little bit of a mistake. We were further along in what we thought. We were doing lots of things that were UDL that we weren't calling UDL. So we are starting in year 3 next year with our implementation process. All right, and I think this is the last section I have before I pass it to you. We've been doing curriculum needs assessment and realignment this year with teaching and learning and special education, which has been great. We realigned our foundational practices at STAR, which we hadn't revisited probably in the last couple of years. And so, what do we do and what do we say we do and what do we do at each grade level? So we did that work. And then we have our ELA curriculum realignment with the teaching staff, where Alyssa Ortiz-Khan went through the whole curriculum for Ready Reading and Ready Magnetic Reading, all those things, and addressed what each topic covered and what standards covered where, and then what we were missing. So we did that work. And then we did an assessment curriculum of assessment needs to see what we needed to add to our work.
is that provided to that crosswalk that you're doing there? Is that provided to parents at all?
We have not communicated that to parents, but we will be this year.
Already, but like,
Yeah.
those of us who may have supplemental, like, I paid for one service, I can't remember what it is right now at the time, but a lot of the service allows you to match up the curriculum to, the state curriculum. So if you're matching that right now to your curriculum, I could then, okay, my kid is learning this thing that matches with some state curriculum, and then I could do my own not diagnostics, but extra work to get them in line.
So IXL?
Yeah, so IXL does that for like other, I don't know if it's does
Do
it
you
for.
say if my kid's learning math using this curriculum, then it tries to outline the resources?
Well, IXL will go to the state curriculum, so when I was in Virginia, they would do that, and the school that my kids were at, in the syllabus, it would actually crosswalk that for me, so if I was a parent, if I had IXL, I could go to that and they could get supplemental. I don't know about iReady, but, because that's more of a.
It's a state adopted
similar,
curriculum.
yeah, it's a similar one, but that's what, because I'm listening to you talk about all this, and I'm just trying to figure out like, where can parents, we talked about, parents being, critical to this, and if I'm a parent, how can I help with some extra like work that is in line with what the teacher is teaching?
Well,
Sorry.
isn't that similar to like how iReady has like my path for each individual child? That's kind of where it goes to where their grade level is based on their assessments and stuff.
But I think you're mentioning more of like extra support.
Right, in the syllabus, when our kids have certain, or maybe it's for, middle school and high school, but when they're learning something, it would just like, as a supplemental material, it would be able to point the parent to that potential source. And that made it easy because, it just had another thing that we could do to prepare.
I think what you're suggesting is that, like the VND, or when the teachers provide their sort of welcome to my classroom, here's the things we're doing. What we could do is call out the curriculum that we are using, so that parents wanna utilize supplemental resources that go with it.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no problem, and we will definitely be communicating all this to parents soon. A lot of this is for next year. We did doing the work this year to realign everything and then rolling it out for next year. I wrote down back to school night. All right, well, I don't remember where I was. Oh, yeah. So we're using Ready Reading for grades K2, Magnetic Reading grades K5, and then we're going to supplement with Hagerty for phonemic awareness in grades TK through second grade, Morpheme Magic for grades 3, 4, and 5 for vocabulary and Latin roots and spelling, or what used to be called spelling. And we're using UFly, which we call it UFly, but I had to put in there what it stands for. University of Florida Literacy Initiative is what we use for supplemental reading material and instruction during our WIN time. And then we upgraded Ready Math. We're so excited about it. They're offering several new things embedded in the program. They're offering ELL embedded supports for integrated ELD instruction. And they have UDL strategies embedded into each lesson as well, which is great because we're focusing on that as a school. And then the last part that they added was performance task modeling from the CAST test. So the math problems, like the word problems with several steps, and you're given a problem to solve, lengthy things to solve. It's formatted in the CAST format. So it's just giving them a little more familiarity with that system. Oftentimes the kids don't do well on tests because they've never seen the format before, not because they don't know the content. So we're giving them that instruction there. And then super excited about the designated English language instruction. Teachers kept expressing to us that they needed a foundation for designated English language instruction. So we have a curriculum now that we're going to roll out next year. So during WIN time, let's say a team of 4, one teacher will be teaching designated English language instruction to a group of students, and they will have a curriculum to do that with. So at the moment we don't, they are inventing their own and writing their own, but they will have a higher launching point next year, especially our newer teachers will be able to have support with that. So we're excited about that. And last but not least, I think I already mentioned that part on the top, co-teaching in classrooms next year, we're using a cluster model approach with special education, inclusive education, to cluster students together who have common goals. And so the ed specialists will be pushing into classrooms to co-teach with the general education teacher. So we're excited about that model coming up. And then last but not least, for instructional changes, we will be focusing on instructional coaching next year for feedback. One of the common threads of feedback I've gotten this year from teachers is we want feedback, we want coaching, we want to become better at what we do, and we want to become more skilled. So next year we will be having another TOSA added to the teaching and learning team to coach teachers. Jackie Scholl, she's not here tonight. She's going to coach all teachers and make them better, right? Because even if you're the best teacher in the world, even if you're the best athlete in the world, you still need a coach, right? Someone to make you better. And there will be a focus on interns and new teachers and new to start teachers next year. We'll be doing learning walks with the leadership team with grade level cohorts. And then we will also be focusing on leadership team, like we have a grade level lead from each grade level, leadership team member. They'll be coaching their individual team members as well. And then peer observations for all teachers. A few teachers, we've done a few peer observations here and there with teachers learning from each other. Next year, all teachers will get to learn from each other and have some sort of way where we can model after each other. All right, with that, I'll pass it off to you for Linda and Parker.
Thank you. Okay, so with our strong, rigorous instruction, we are also balancing that with strong school culture. And as you know, we are doing PBIS at Natomas Charter School, and this was our, at STAR Tier 1 year, our rollout, positive behavior interventions and supports. We are continuing to use responsive classroom as part of our morning meeting structure in each classroom. And want to continue that piece because it does have those restorative elements, because it does support PBIS. It doesn't quite align, but it really, I think, is a nice piece of what we do. And we've done responsive classroom for a long time. We're continuing our Kind Kids Club, our social emotional learning, as well as our mindfulness and music and movement, which is something new that we integrated this year. So students have structured access to our counselor through Kind Kids Club, which they all receive instruction monthly, but they also have proactive times where Miss Kelsey and actually our school psychologist, Marissa Costa, have activities, proactive activities at recesses, so students can access the counselor even at their leisure. Not only do they have the written, the ability to write their own or self-refer, but then they can also access the counselor at recess time. The school psych and the counselor have also been doing an SEL group for students, so proactively doing Tier 2 groups for students, and that's a combined effort serving general education and special education students. And then also collaborated together, Miss Kelsey, our wonderful counselor, ran a parent university and has done a great job serving parents with resources this year. All right, as far as PBIS, we worked hard this year. So we completed a tiered fidelity inventory. This is something that when you have PBIS, you utilize this tool to help sort of analyze the work that you're doing, but also use it to make yourself better and grow. And currently, when we took the tiered fidelity inventory this year in January, our score was at 80%, which is amazing. We were actually only missing a few elements because we're a new team and we hadn't quite at that time intertwined our parent representative with our Tier 1 team and our student representative, which we now have. They attend our meetings periodically, not every meeting, but several of our meetings. And then because we're a new team as well, one of the areas of the fidelity inventory talks about like several years of data, and it's something that you, as a new team, you can't mark yourself high in that area. So we had to mark ourselves a little lower. We do anticipate being at very close, if not at 100%, as far as our fidelity next year. And then for 25-26, we've already started laying the foundation for our Tier 2 PBIS team. We will be, we've created the team, so that includes our behaviorist, school counselor, a couple of our education specialists as well, and I think our speech and language pathologist will be a part of the team as well. This team focuses on, so you have tier 1 goes to all students, tier 2 is students, which generally is like maybe 10 to 15% of students, and so that's reaching students who need smaller group support, more focused interventions, not tier 3 individualized support, but it's that tier 2 in the middle. When we took the TFI and currently we don't even have a team, but we took it to see where we're at and where we need to go. We're at a current 50% currently. So that means that we're actually doing a lot of tier 2 things and have been historically at Star Academy. So we're really excited, and our tier 2 team has some wonderful ideas. And then, like I said, we will be receiving formal training probably at the end of 25 or early 26 for the team. But we do have several things that we are planning to implement next year to support our students and teachers. And then culture and climate, these are all from our PBIS assemblies, which we have monthly. We have our STARS awards, which are based on our character traits, safely interact, take responsibility, have to solve problems, respect our community, and show kindness. So those are our kids have them memorized. And actually I just sent this data to Petra. 98.2% of our students 3 through 5 know all of those by heart. They have them memorized. And 99% of our students 3 through 5, because we did a student survey, have all received Scholar Dollars from their teachers. If not their teacher, then another staff member in the school. So these are STARS awards. We go through the STARS cycle several, I think 2 times in the year, maybe 3. So students get these, and they're really special. They also get a certificate for Menchie's ice cream, which is always a bonus. Next slide. Oh, and I forgot to say, we also have our PBIS Coach Semple does PE awards. So we have Lap Tracker now, and that's a great way to, if you're not maybe, character traits you're working on those, then if not that, then we have a lot of students that really shine athletically, sometimes both places. And that's been really cool. We have several students who have reached double marathon status. So that's like double marathon this year already. And then many students have reached marathon status. So we have like little markers that the kids want to reach, and they're really motivated to do that. So. All right, so we've done a lot of wonderful things, starting at the beginning of the year, all our activities. Jogathon was in the fall. This is kind of like in order of the year. We are currently here. We had our wonderful multicultural festival, Staff Appreciation Week. Upcoming this month is Donuts with Grownups. That's kind of the end of the year thing. And then we'll have a volunteer breakfast to kind of thank our amazing volunteers and kind of round out the year. And then these are some awesome pictures of the kids. This was Global Play Day, Global School Play Day. This was Family Dance, a wonderful turnout. We had our Jogathon, lots of fun. We've had a wonderful year. And then this was actually an event put on by our special education or education specialists. So celebrating all students and providing a space where families could gather, a space that was friendly to neurodivergent students or perhaps a student on the spectrum, but also, friendly to all families. So really encouraging that belonging, and that's me and my daughter, she's going to start. And our teachers with some of their kids as well. So that was fun. Diane and I got to attend that. And now, questions and comments.
Yeah. Are you guys still doing lunch bunch?
We are. Oh, in addition to our tier 2 groups, yes, Miss Kelsey still does lunch bunch. Wow, several times a week. She does a lot, and it's still a popular place to go, popular place to be, and it's a very effective intervention for students. Used it several times this year, actually, to bring in new students, because it's really hard to come to NCS sometimes, especially, we're a lottery system, so sometimes you stay here and you're here for a long time. So we always try to include new students proactively so they can meet new kids right away, even kids outside of their classroom, but in their grade level span. So still going strong.
Yeah. And she also is doing pushing recess time this year.
Yes.
So she
That was
pushes
really
into
fun.
recess several times a week where kids can come see her.
Yeah.
So instead of trying to make an appointment with her, or go to her office, or, try to get out of class to go see Miss Kelsey, she pushes into recess, which has been really fun for the kids. And really good to kind of mitigate some of their emotional issues and give them some time.
Yeah, she's also intertwined that with like a lot of our awareness weeks and spirit weeks. So like kindness week activities, Red Ribbon Week was like healthy living. So Miss Kelsey's really great at like intertwining that with some of the bigger thematic things we're doing at school. So it's relevant. And she also works with like closely with like our specials teachers. They're always like collaborating, and the specials teachers do a great job too of kind of highlighting those awareness weeks and the different things we're focusing on too. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Wood, enrollment report.
Yeah, so this is our monthly enrollment report. The numbers that you see in your packet that Ziva has up on the screen are our enrollment numbers as of April 30th. This is a pretty like stable time of the year. Obviously, we're coming up on the end of the time of the year. While it's a quiet in terms of enrollment for the current school year, it's very active in terms of getting ready for the coming school year. So just some numbers for the board to be aware of. We sent out all of our registration information to all of our families that are returning for next year. And we're down to just 10 that we're tracking down. And so this is kind of at the point where they're making like daily phone calls to get people to fill out their registration and let them know that we might be dropping them if they don't fill it out. And then they're also down to, I cut this number from Adrian earlier today, we have 14 students who currently have accepted a spot at PFA or ECA and have accepted a spot at IB or at Intercom for IB or SECA. So we'll be having conversations with those families by the end of the week to make a decision so that then we can get those seats filled. But as of today, we have 680 students on the waiting list at STAR, 185 at Leading Edge, 248 at PFAA. So we have, we want to make sure we get those seats filled as soon as possible. And then we have a little bit of summer shuffle that of course will occur, and then we come back to fill in the remainder of the seats. So enrollment is looking good for the coming school year.
All right, hearing of the public for items not on the agenda.
Nothing received with me and no one online.
Hearing of the public for items on the agenda.
Nothing received with me and no one online.
Executive Director comments.
Just, as you heard tonight, we have lots of end of year celebrations and performances going on. So please keep an eye out for an email that you got from Ziva earlier today. If you're planning on going to any of the promotions or end of year celebrations, then you can just jot your name down, especially for high school graduation, so we can make sure we have enough chairs on the stage and all that sort of fun stuff. And then we do have some performances going on. This week is Spring Dance Celebration. If you didn't get your tickets yet, I really hope you want to go on Wednesday night because Thursday and Friday night are sold out. So the Wednesday nights where we still got some tickets. And then the vocal concert is next week on the 21st and the 22nd. And then I guess last but not least, happy Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes, and then Anita reminded me, it was in your weekly updates too. She and I are presenting at the Natomas Unified Board of Trustees this week, our financial presentation. Not one, but 2 board meetings this week.
All right, Board of Director comments. All right. Future board agenda items.
When we come back in June, remember we have 2 meetings. So part 1 is going to be the really busy meeting where we have the LCAP, the budget, a bunch of other things. And then part 2, 2 days later, is a little bit shorter meeting where we just formally adopt the LCAP.
All right, unless anybody wants to stay. I feel like we can adjourn the meeting at 9:15.